Chapter 471. Chia smiled, but did not say much. Everyone had different pursuits and liked different things. But outside of Ursa Major constellation, it was like a raging fire. The battle between the Honorable Martial Alliance and Leo constellation continued to heat up. Both sides were extremely intense, and the flames of war continued to spread. From Ixian's mouth, Chia Shangwan finally found out. The bronze plate on Tang Tian's body was actually not the Southern Cross constellation's treasure, but the Southern Cross Army's commander, in the most critical moment, sealed the Southern Cross Army's moving star door. At that moment, his heart stopped beating. In the past few years, she had swept through the entire ancient battlefield and had a lot of gains. The indistinct clue seemed to be surfacing soon. Thinking about Brother Tian's secret, Chia's expression congealed. A voice that could not be more familiar, one that had appeared in his dreams countless times, rang out behind him with a trembling voice that seemed to have penetrated through countless years. He was prepared to barge into Big Dipper alone, but Hand Towel blocked him, as though he was saying that if His Majesty were to go, this official would die. Tang Tian's heart started to tremble, and could only give up. Chia Shangwan knew that Ixian was extremely powerful when he was alive, because it was the first time Ixian's troops made her feel troubled, and she had 5 times more troops than Ixian. It was a spirit general called Ixian. He was inspecting the star door, and after a moment, he raised his head. I can't teleport. Ixian was handsome and refined. He did not have the aura of a military general, but instead looked like a poet or an artist. 5 minutes later, Ixian, who was slapped by the machete, was once again carried by Xiao Ran to the front of Chia Shangwan, with a satisfied look. General, the next time this Scorpio spy is not obedient, let me do it again. Chia Shangwan, who had her back facing the two of them, did not hear Ixian's pleas. Her face was flushed red. Her heart was thumping hard. I am about to contact Brother Tian. What should I say? Ixian quivered and jumped up. General, I will make the star door. How to contact Tang Tian was the question that Chia Shangwan had been thinking about day and night. Until he met Xiao Ran, Chia Shangwan immediately thought of an idea. Xiao Ran was a martial artist of the Ophiuchus army, and since the Ophiuchus army had such an intelligent spirit general, then the spirit generals of the Southern Cross Army must also have such spirit generals. And the current Ursa Major constellation was sparsely populated, so Tang Tian allowed Homa Air to continue moving the Lupus race towards Ursa Major constellation. Suddenly, the bronze starry door behind him lit up. It had been a long time since he last came to the barracks. It felt very familiar. Tang Tian shook his head. How could this godlike youth's martial soul be stupid and stupid? In the depths of her eyes, a trace of gentleness flashed. She recalled the time she had spent in Starwind City the most. After that, when Immortal Constellation Mountain regained control of the Shangwan clan, it was because of the crisis he could not bear to see the collapse of the clan, and had no choice but to step forward. Now that he had brought the army to conquer, it was all for Tang Tian. With the appearance of the Big Dipper star door, the surging star power surged out from the star door, continuously entering Ursa Major constellation. The concentration of Ursa Major constellation's star power started to rise continuously. Even the original Andromeda constellation and Draco constellation, which were now called Fairy Region and Draco Region, also continued to rise. The citizens of the two constellations were all cheering. But we can communicate through words. Ixian smiled. The black mass of spirit generals gathered in one area and started to dig downwards. Tang Tian was gloomy. Everyone was immersed in the Big Dipper plan, and even the fusion of the Saint treasures was extremely cold and cheerless. Following that, the desolate barebone released a throbbing sound. Tang Tian sensed it and sent people to search in that direction, but he did not expect to find a new star door. In the next moment, she opened her eyes. The hesitation in her eyes swept away, and she regained her usual sharpness. 2 hours later, a bronze star door appeared in front of Chia Shangwan. The bronze star door was the classic style of the Southern Cross Army. If Tang Tian was here, he would definitely recognize that the Bronze Star door was exactly the same as the one in the 07 Army barracks. The current training in the barracks, to him, was a piece of cake. The feeling of passing through all the subjects at least once was extremely satisfying. She had some guesses about Brother Tion's father's identity, but she needed more clues. What was even more unexpected was that the Star Door was actually connected to the Big Dipper that had been sealed for many years. Ixion's tactics were extremely sinister and could not be defended against. After fighting for 3 days, Jie Shengwan still defeated the troops and captured Ixion. Xiao Man did not like Ixion at all, and often muttered, "Why does the Southern Cross Army have such a ghostly person? Is he a spy sent by the Scorpio Army?" This was the place where the 3 big armies fought, and there were countless of spirit generals floating around, but the majority of them were low-level spirit generals without intelligence. To be able to find a spirit general with intelligence in the Southern Cross Army, Jie Shengwan brought Xiao Man to battle everywhere, and finally found a spirit general with intelligence in the Southern Cross Army. He felt that fighting all the way to the Southern Cross constellation would be more reliable. There was no need for him to worry. Tang Tian spent all his time on training. Regardless of when, strength was the most important and the most trustworthy. To prevent the news from leaking out, Han Tao built a camp near the Star Door and concealed it. Although Tang volunteered to explore Big Dipper, he was rejected by Tang Tian. Exploring foreign lands was never suitable for an army. An army was a huge target, and their movements were not as smooth as a martial artist. In the past, all these training subjects were difficult for him to achieve, but now he could easily complete them. "Are they all cleared?" Jie asked. She sat up straight. Her dark green military uniform was spotless. Her black hair draped over her shoulders. Her beautiful face had a trace of fatigue. Yaya and Little Fool were playing happily. Under Yaya's gestures, Little Fool finally learned how to spiral. Tang Tian could not help but sigh. Unknowingly, he had grown to such a stage. When he was with Jie, he was still training in fundamental martial techniques. Just thinking about it made him excited. Big Dipper was the essence of Ursa Major constellation, but the Star Door that led to Big Dipper had disappeared for many years, and now that it was reopened, Tang Tian was filled with anticipation. Tang Tian was rooted to the ground. She stood up and ordered, "With this place as the center, in a radius of 100 m, dig everything out." Everyone was obsessed with the Big Dipper plan, and it was hard for him to even meet them, much less bring them to Southern Cross constellation. He was not arrogant to the point of thinking that he could barge into Southern Cross constellation alone. Plop! Ixion knelt down on both knees, tears streaming down his face filled with remorse. Hearing that, Xiao Man curled her lips. "What violence! We are marching to war. If we don't fight and kill, do you think we're going to make soup? General, please spare me. That kind of life, I would rather die on the battlefield. It would be more satisfying." Ixion initially ignored Jie Shengwan, until Jie Shengwan asked about the bronze plate. Then Ixion's attitude changed. Aside from training, he would think about the training that he did not complete in the barracks and decided to take a stroll. Regardless of whether he was willing or not, he was now the constellation master of Ursa Major constellation. If he were to run out, he would definitely be surrounded and used to deal with Ursa Major constellation. If he could not fight them, then he could only use his wits. He did not need to worry about the internal affairs, and there were no wars recently. So Ursa Major constellation was peaceful. Tang Tian was now infamous, and the few constellations beside him, who would dare to provoke him? But to Tang Tian, that was too far away. But no one cared about him. Big Brother Tian. Forget it for such a stupid martial spirit. It was not easy for him to learn the spiral technique. Tang Tian was too lazy to care, and also gave up on the idea of letting him learn other martial techniques, and directly let Little Fool and Yaya mix around. Thinking up to here, her face couldn't help but blush, and her usually calm heart was actually unable to calm down. As long as they could find a complete Southern Cross Army Bronze Star Door, they could establish a connection with the bronze plate. He was perspiring all over, but felt an indescribable comfort. Everyone knew that the climax of the war was far from here. The other constellations of the 12 ecliptic palaces did not reveal anything, but the Honorable Martial Alliance and Leo constellation did not give up on roping in the other tyrants. Xie Shangwan's eyes dimmed. Han Tao handled the internal affairs in an orderly manner. Pai Pa was his assistant and did not need to worry. Pai Pa's illness was cured by Ding Man, and the cured Pai Pa had gained some flesh and did not look as weak as before. Under Ixion's control, the star door finally lit up with a weak light aura. Ixion's face turned white, although he was a military general, but he was not the type to charge and break through enemy lines, and his individual martial strength was far from Xiaoran's. No one dared to look down on Pai Pa. She was the one who took care of the emperor when he was injured and supervised him. Who would dare to offend such a person? The 10 equatorial palace halls was just an appetizer. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and prayed in her heart. The determined young lady was now like an ordinary person. Xie Shangwan's body trembled. She raised her head again and said coldly, "Xiao Ran, teach this Scorpio spy a good lesson." After that, with Ixion's help, Xie Shangwan swept through the place, searching for the bronze door. Ixion was crafty and cunning. Xiao Ran was brave and unparalleled. In the ancient battlefield, Xie Shangwan was invincible. "General, spare me. I was wrong. I was wrong." But the most important thing was to contact Brother Tian. But even the clothes on his spirit general after death was the Southern Cross Army uniform. That was definitely not a lie. No matter how much he disguised himself when he was alive, when he turned into a spirit general after death, he would always reveal the most basic characteristics in his heart. Xie revealed a smile. "Young lady, don't be so violent." Xiao Man became excited. She howled. The short-haired young lady dragged the large machete that was the size of a door and rushed towards Ixien. It was the 62nd Southern Cross Army Bronze Star Door that Xie Shangwan found. His training time was extremely precious. "It's cleared." Xiao Ran was excited. "Fighting with the general is the best. It's like cutting vegetables. It's so cool." The Bronze Star Doors were found one after another, but due to the long passage of time, the Bronze Star Doors were all rusted, and even the few that remained were unusable. Equatorial Palace Halls, Equatorial Palace Halls, Equatorial Palace Hall was also swept in. The entire place was scarlet red, and blood flowed like rivers. Xiao Ran's heart trembled. Yes. Chapter 472. Ixion's expression did not change. Only his eyes revealed a slight smile. This kind of character of the successor of the army is not hateful. Ixion was enraged. "Stupid woman, don't think I'm afraid of you." Xie Shangwan's heart was warm. Her calm eyes became even more serious. "Cough, this is a battle between men," Ixion said righteously, his feet quietly retreating 2 steps. "I like it. I'm so happy. Brother Tian, I missed you too." Xie's sweet and gentle voice came out from behind the Bronze Star Door, causing Tang Tian to heave a sigh of relief. Her perfect body was already filled with hidden injuries. The only thing that supported her to not give up was the simple, foolish yet untamed young man, and the intense longing for him that lingered in her heart. "Then let's fight together." Just that. With one stride, he rushed to the front of the bronze door, his face filled with excitement. He shouted, "Xie, where are you? Are you behind the star door? Can you come over?" The Bronze Star Door's weak light aura was like the sunlight in the pitch-black night, piercing through the darkness. "I am now the master of Ursa Major Constellation. Haha, I am powerful, right? Actually, I do not understand. I originally just wanted to find you, but after fighting, it became like this. So strange. Oh, most of it is Uncle Bing's work. Uncle Bing has a poker face. He is a good person. Little Crane is also a good person. Ling Su is even more stupid than me. Oh, there's still one more stupid than me, a Maori Ha." Xiao Man's words caused Xion's body to freeze. "Brother Tian? Without seeing him, how can I die?" Xiao Man casually chopped the large blade in her hand into the ground. Half of the blade entered the ground. She stood up. The wind blew past her heroic face, her short hair flying. She looked at the desolate ancient battlefield. and muttered to herself, I will follow the general. The Ophiuchus army has long disappeared. If the general does not want me anymore, I will consider this problem again. From the brainless narration, it could be heard that Tang Tian had experienced dangers and difficulties and had brushed shoulders with death time and time again. I will definitely find Sexton's eye. Tang Tian's tone was extremely serious, his fists clenched tightly. How nice. Absolutely. Exian muttered, 50 miles is cleaner than if it had been washed. No one can stop me. The bronze starry gate was too quiet. At this moment, a loud voice came from the starry door. I really want time to stop here. Aha, Chia, said she missed me. Aha, just you, this Scorpio spy? Xiaoman had a look of disdain. I'm in an ancient battlefield. The Stargate isn't complete, so I can't pass through. I can only maintain sound communication. Was it an illusion? He was so eager and impatient to tell Chia that he couldn't help but clench his fists. Facing the faint light of the bronze Stargate, just like when he was at the top of the mountain outside of Starwind City, facing the brightly lit Starwind City, facing the stars, facing the night wind, he shouted with all his strength, Chia Shangwan, I miss you so much. I miss you so much. No, Chia Shangwan, for a better future, you have to be braver, you have to work harder. Chia Shangwan did not know why her tears kept flowing. She only knew that she was happy, incomparably happy, the happiest she had ever been. Xian's eyes darkened. Suddenly, the corners of his mouth curled up into an arc, and he said pointedly, What about you? To find the Ophiuchus army? Yes, I will remember it. Tang Tian nodded his head, although he knew that Chia could not see it. He would always remember Chia's words towards Chia's intelligence. He had always trusted her unconditionally. Big Brother Tian. Then, he turned around and ignored the two people who had strange expressions on their faces. He coughed lightly and said, All right, there's nothing else for you two to do here. Take some people and search the area within a 50-mile radius. Don't let anyone slip through the net. It must be an illusion. I have thought about it too much. It must be an illusion. Xiao Ran and Oxen were stunned by Tang Tian's simple and straightforward confession, but the two of them did not laugh, because in the repeated words, the passionate emotions were not concealed at all. Without any embellishment, it was so sincere, so brave. The situation is much better than what I expected. Brother Tian's strength is not weak, but it is still not enough. Thinking about the indistinct clues that I have found, Chia Shangwan's heart turned cold. The current Brother Tian's strength is still far from enough. Tang Tian grinned foolishly, but why did his legs feel a little weak? Gradually, as the details continued to increase, the changes outside became clearer in Chia Shangwan's mind. On Chia's face, a warm and sweet smile surfaced. This is the voice that I am willing to use my entire life to cherish. The successor of the Southern Cross Army. Is this the taste of happiness? Hee, be there or be square. Exine nodded his head in agreement. He scratched his chin. So General likes this type. It doesn't make sense. General is such a perfect woman. Obviously, I am 10,000 times better than her. The bronze star door, the weak light aura, the young man and young lady's hearts. They were in sync, attracted to each other, filled with fighting spirit. Even if they had to fight against the world, they were fearless. Trapped in the desolate and lonely ancient battlefield, they did not know how to leave, did not know where their hope was, and even the loneliness carried the taste of despair. Even after death, they would be imprisoned in this place. How terrifying was that? Tang Tian did not know how long he shouted for, but when he stopped, he felt an indescribable joy. Definitely not. Then let's meet 3 months later. It will still be here, Brother Tian. You are not allowed to be late. Tell her how much I miss her. Grabbing onto his neck with one hand, Xiao Man flipped up the horse, her other hand holding onto the blade. She mischievously stuck out her tongue at Chia Shangwan, then left with Exine. She started to ask questions about the situation in Heaven's Road, Tang Tian's sphere of influence, etc., etc. Tang Tian talked about many things without any head or tail, requiring her to slowly sort them out. What a man! Xiao Man could not help but praise Bang. She could not help but kick the blade handle. The voice that came out from the Bronze Star door was filled with joy and excitement. Tang Tian had already confirmed that it was the Bronze Star door, and the voice came from the Star door. She had long learned how to control and disguise herself. She was the patriarch of the Shangwan family. She was the undefeatable goddess of war. Xie, is that you? I miss you so much. Ever since you left, I have been thinking of you every day. I want to find you. Tang Tian was extremely excited. He completely did not notice that his voice was getting louder and louder. Brother Tian, you have worked hard. You can do it. Xie Shangwan stood up, clenching her small fists. She was filled with fighting spirit. Xie also needs to work hard. Although I'm reluctant, but we need to hurry up. The faster we complete it, the more advantageous it will be in the future. Xiao Man tilted her head and arrogantly raised the blade in her hand. The cold light overflowed, causing people to panic. Xie smiled. Brother Tian, the most important thing for you now is to accumulate your strength. The battle between Leo Constellation and the Honorable Martial Alliance will become even more intense. As for Cetus Constellation, Brother Tian, do not need to worry. When the Saint Treasure leaves the constellation, the connection between the two will be greatly reduced. As long as Brother Tian can find Cetus Constellation's star power eye and use it to nurture the star treasure of Cetus Constellation, there is a possibility of determining the Saint Treasure again. Brother Tian, you must remember, the stronger the treasure, the better. You must explore Big Dipper as soon as possible. Big Dipper was very famous in the past. They had missed each other day and night for too long. They had already fermented. They could not wait any longer. They did not want to delay for even a second. Hearing that Xie was serious, Tang Tian's expression also became serious. Sexton's eye? All right, I'll remember it. The Bronze Star door's weak light aura lit up the hearts of the two of them, causing the longing and emotions to fly past thousands of mountains and rivers. This light call, once again like lightning, struck Tang Tian, causing his body to freeze again. But in the next second, he suddenly turned. With a trembling voice, he shouted, Xie, is that you? Is that really you? I said, he should be the successor of your Southern Cross Army. All these years of hardship, all these years of suffering, all these years of pressure. The smile on his face in front of people was reserved and at ease, but his heart was like walking on a tightrope. No matter how weak you are, you have to act as if nothing happened. No matter how afraid you are, you have to act as if you are calm and composed. Xie Shangwan's face was filled with tears, but blossomed with an extremely sweet smile. She covered her mouth, not allowing herself to cry out, her tears flowing uncontrollably. Even if it is in the hands of a saint, I will definitely snatch it back. Behind the Bronze Star door, Xie Shangwan had a blissful and sweet smile. Her tears had long stopped flowing. On her brother Tian's foolish roar, she covered her face with her hands, swaying back and forth. She was extremely happy. There were so many things she wanted to say to brother Tian, but suddenly she remembered that there was someone behind her and spoke gently to Tang Tian. Brother Tian, wait for me. So, I'm not the only one fighting. Straightforward words without any embellishments, straightforward words without any room for emotions. Those simple and repetitive incoherent words were the world's most powerful and deadly weapon, instantly shattering Qian Hui's heart's defenses. Her tears flowed out, and her vision became blurry. Xiao Man raised a large machete in her hands, slashing the ground, and snorted, My little lover's voice is truly loud. What are you hesitating for? Where are you hiding? All of you get lost, that's what I want to do. Use all my strength to tell her loudly. Tang Tian's face revealed a bitter and self-mocking smile. His state of mind recovered. He sighed in his heart and was about to take a step forward. There was a voice in his heart that spoke. That's it. That's right, that's it. You like her, then tell her loudly. Use all your strength to tell her. The harder and louder, she will be able to hear it more clearly. Did I scare Xie? Tang Tian scratched his head and probed. Tell her how much I like her. The two of them were silent. Hey. Quickly, let me go. Most of the time, it was Tang Tian talking, while Xie Shangwan quietly listened, But as she listened, the surprise in her heart became heavier, but she was even more touched. Ixion's voice floated further and further in the air. Brother Tion, Sexton's constellation has a star treasure called Sexton's. This thing is very important to us. Chie Shangwan said. Chapter 473. That's right. There is no other way. Maybe there's a way. Ixion muttered to himself. Go to the Exile Ocean. Find something. Maybe you can turn defeat into victory. Thinking about the 600,000 Lupus men using the blood refinement technique, if a tenth of them could cultivate their true power to the 8th level, that would be 60,000 people. 60,000 gold-ranked martial artists' army. That was definitely enough to sweep Heaven's Road and wipe out the stars. As though he was struck by lightning, his mind went blank. Countless of gray images flashed past his mind, his entire body involuntarily trembling. Bing was ecstatic about this. He was very clear, with this point, the zero-energy body would truly become another big system not inferior to blood meridians. Ixion's expression was calm. Not necessarily. Maybe, anyway, we have no other way. Maybe we can leave some hope for the future. Her tone was calm, but it was filled with unquestionable determination. I found Chie. I found Chie. Tang Tion's face was filled with ecstasy. He was extremely excited. The current Chie Shangwan was actually emitting such a domineering aura. The ancient battlefield, the final battleground of the 3 great armies. Tang Tion scratched his head, revealing a look of reminiscence. Oh, right, Chie said. She found a spirit general of the Southern Cross Army, called Ixion. I don't know either. I only heard from the captain. Ixion continued. It's all up to you, Brad. The two of them looked at each other, seeing the surprise in each other's eyes. The two of them had gone through mountains of blades and seas of blood, and were especially sensitive to certain things. Although Chie Shangwan looked the same as usual, but the aura emitted from her body was even colder and more awe-inspiring than before. Her pupils were so deep and calm that it caused people's hearts to palpitate. She sat there, but was like a peerless sword that was unsheathed, the sharpness of the heavens, intimidating everyone. That's not right. Tang Tion slapped his forehead. I did not find her. I managed to contact her. Ixion revealed a smile. Relax. I'm not that afraid of death. The young man, who was panting heavily, stopped moving. His face turned pale. But in the following battles, he witnessed with his own eyes how Chie Shangwan was constantly learning from the battles, how she was constantly becoming stronger. No matter how fierce the battle was, she could still remain calm. This ancient battlefield, where countless battle souls wandered, became the best place for her to learn. The generals seemed to have changed. How can we make it in time to use our brains during a battle? Xiaoman's expression softened. The effects of the blood refinement technique were extremely quick, and there were no barriers. However, few people knew about it. Naturally, there were obvious drawbacks. One was that when he revolved it, his body would feel like it was being cut by knives. The other was because his true power was not purified. It was extremely impure and would leave behind a large amount of hidden injuries. Did you pick up money? Bing confidently puffed out a smoke ring, looking like a triad boss. Tears blurred her vision. She couldn't tell if it was then or now. Really, the youth stared at Ixion's face. He wanted to see if Ixion was lying to him. Ixion was always lying to him. When Tang Tion returned from the 07 Army barracks, it was as though he was injected with chicken blood. His face was fierce and filled with killing intent. It was as though there was a regiment of flames burning in his chest. It was an unprecedented and intense flame that seemed to want to burn him to ashes. And, compared to the high price of the rare blood meridians, the zero-energy transformation was simply too cheap. The youth opened the door of the mechanical weapon and gasped for breath. He was so tired that he did not even want to move a finger. The smell of smoke in the air was so heavy that it was suffocating. This woman is truly powerful to the point of being terrifying. Uncle. Furthermore, Bing and the rest realized that although the zero-energy body did not have the various mystical powers of the blood meridians, but there was something special about it. That was, the zero energy body had a natural repulsion towards true power. So after the true power entered the zero energy body, the damage dealt would decrease. Ixin raised his head. His face revealed a look of shock. Ixin, the zero energy body martial artist's ability to survive on the battlefield would greatly increase. Southern Cross Army, advance. In a laboratory, 3 small-scale whirlpool sword storms were revolving very quickly. The concentrated sword auras whistling filled the entire room. Qie Shangwan's entire body was emitting an imposing aura. But he could feel that she had transformed. The previous Qie Shangwan, although she was sharp, calm, and meticulous, but to Xn, she lacked the domineering aura of a famous general. Such a domineering aura originated from the military general's strong self-confidence. It originated from the military general's determination to sweep away everything in their path of victory. The young man turned his head. Like a tide, the enemies flooded his line of defense. Blindly following. You are blindly following. Xin lamented. Women with big breasts are truly brainless. Before Xin could recover from the shock, he heard Qie Shangwan's calm voice. The 3 small-scale whirlpool sword storms were the small storms that they had modified. Its strength was only half of the whirlpool sword spirit tempering technique. They had many major changes. For example, out of all the auras, the sword auras had the best results in the zero energy transformation. Another example, the quality of the body after the zero energy transformation was related to the level of true power before the zero energy transformation. The higher the level of true power, the better the effect of the zero energy transformation, and the martial artist's body quality would be even more astonishing. Hey, violent girl, let me go. It's true. Tang Tian stared. It was when I was in the 07 Army barracks, that bronze star door. Tang Tian's hoarse voice could be heard from afar. Bing warned the rest, then walked out. I am blindly following. Xiao Ran's face turned cold. Big breasts, but brainless. You have wanted to say that long ago, right? Became stronger. General should be done. Xiao Ran's tone was uncertain. Even medical Saint Ding Man was amazed at this point and planned to incorporate it into her own medical martial techniques. He controlled the mechanical weapon to leave the battlefield, and like a cornered wild beast, he used his hands and feet to climb up the mountain. What is it? The young man's mind was roused. Everyone was watching attentively and recording it. It has already been 5 hours. It should be enough. Xin muttered. If General is not done, then I will teach her a lesson as a military general. How can she be so sentimental? No one can stop her. The young man turned and jumped onto the mechanical weapon and followed the trenches and advanced frantically towards the direction of the ocean of exile. He was like a madman. He knew how bad the situation was. General is perfect, Xiao Ran said. What's so good about big breasts? So much of a burden, it will affect the battle. Ayaya, they almost succeeded. But at that moment, at this time, Xin already thought, other than the lack of experience, Shanghai was not inferior to him in all aspects. Of course, Xin turned his head with a look as though it was a matter of course. He stared at Bing for a moment, and suddenly said, Brat, are you dreaming too much? Bing looked as though he wanted to touch Tang Tian's forehead to see if he had fever. When the two of them returned to the bronze star door, they saw Shanghai already sitting there waiting for them. The first time Xin met Shanghai, although he only had a fifth of the enemy's military strength, he almost made a comeback. At that time, his impression of Shanghai was just that of an outstanding military general. Compared to other methods of tempering the martial spirit, the results were much more outstanding. His words stopped abruptly, as Xiao Ran used one hand to pull him up. In response to this situation, Bing had already changed the training subjects of the army, and almost 80% of the time was spent on training true power. And the mental cultivation technique chosen was extremely extreme. It was called blood cultivation technique, which was contributed by the inheritor of the ancient sect, Jiangjing. The blood cultivation technique was a mental cultivation technique that was extremely urgent and was different from other mental cultivation techniques that revolved true power in the meridians. The principle of the blood cultivation technique was to forcefully assimilate true power into the blood, and through the circulation of the blood, it would gradually achieve the effect of transforming the entire body into energy. It had another advantage, which was that there were no checkpoints, and the process of transforming into energy was extremely smooth. Bing had recently immersed himself in the Big Dipper plan, although he did not have deep attainments in martial techniques, but he knew what was most important to an army. His suggestions were always very pertinent, regardless of whether it was the blood meridian specialists or the martial artists that were good at theory. They all admired Bing. Honggu. The cigarette between Bing's fingers dropped to the ground. The reason why Bing dared to use such an extreme mental cultivation technique was because they had discovered in the experiment of reducing energy transformation that reducing energy transformation would remove the hidden injuries in the body. Xiao Ran said, "Do you think a general needs you to teach him? I will teach you on behalf of the general." A mechanical weapons cabin door that was half buried in the mud opened up, and a skinny fellow jumped out, muttering. Bing was startled, his face full of surprise. "Where did you find it? The situation is not good." Xian jumped onto a mechanical weapon and gazed into the distance, muttering to himself. With the Bronze Star door as the center, arrange the defense according to the highest grade. Leave half of the people to guard, the rest prepare, we're going to Honggu. Xian, you must hold on. Wait for me to come back. The young man shouted to Xian. Xian was extremely shocked. Chie Shangwan was the most outstanding genius he had ever seen, and he could tell she had never received any systematic training as a military general, as though she knew how to fight naturally. The lupus martial artists who were the first to complete the energy transformation, their true power had reached the 8th level, and after the energy transformation, their body qualities had already reached the level of Blood Meridian's gold-ranked martial artists. He had made a promise to Chia. I can tell that your values have been distorted by the snake men. Your breasts are so big." Xian coaxed along the way and finally dodged the bullet. Bing, who was about to bring the cigarette to his mouth, stopped. Of course, he knew that the Bronze Star door could be used to communicate. His expression congealed. "Where is she?" Xian knew something was wrong. His expression changed and became serious. "That is definitely a compliment. Big breasts is a compliment. To others, being brainless is a problem. But to you, it is a naked compliment. It is the truest portrayal of you relying on your instincts to fight. Don't tell me when you're fighting with others, you still need to use your brain." Jing Hao and the other two were undergoing the second round of tempering. They had already completed the energy transformation and were now tempering their martial spirits. Although the improved Whirlpool Sword Storm was not as outstanding as the previous Whirlpool Sword Spirit tempering technique, but it was still able to temper the martial spirit, and it was safer. The pain was greatly reduced. Suddenly, a fragmented and indistinct shout came out from the wind, if not for the familiar voice. The young man gathered his remaining strength and struggled to stand up. Coincidentally hearing Xian's words, he raised his head. "Xian, can we win?" That smoky and fiery face was so clear. "In?" The young man raised his head and replied. That's right. Hot-blooded fighting girls are all like that. Instincts, higher-level martial artists. Pay attention to instincts." Xian added. "Under such an advantage, you can still maintain your big breasts. Young lady, you are perfect." He called Belle over and asked her to immediately investigate Sexton's Eye and the Cetus constellation's Star Power Eye, and he anxiously rushed to find Uncle Bing. Chapter 474. His poker face was slightly wretched, as it was rare to see him so full of killing intent. Bing suddenly revealed a smile. "That's great. It's been hard on Misterson. Belle, help Misterson properly, and keep it a secret." Hearing that, Tang Tian and Bing nodded their heads. Tang Tian was so annoyed that he almost smashed his own head. That's right, when Belle said it was the Lin family. Why did I not think that it would be Elder Lin? Elder Lin was experienced and chuckled. "Your Majesty has graced my humble abode with your presence. Your presence brings light to my humble abode. Please enter." The safe and sound saber immediately disappeared. Schwa. Everyone's gazes converged on him. All of the martial artists stared dumbstruck at the two death god-level figures, their faces filled with awkwardness and distress. Elder Lin was experienced and easily dissolved Tang Tian's awkwardness and very quickly asked about Tang Tian's intentions. Elder Lin did not expect Tang Tian to suddenly come with killing intent and was surprised, but when he saw Tang Tian's embarrassed face, he could not help but smile. Without hesitation, Tang Tian threw the safe and sound saber in his hand into the star power eye. Tang Tian was an honest person. Whoever treated him well, he would treat them well. Elder Lin felt that his actions in the past were nothing much, but Tang Tian was extremely grateful. It was just that he was extremely muddle-headed outside of battles and did not meet with any trouble in Cetus constellation, so he did not even think of Elder Lin, but Elder Lin's kindness was etched in his heart. Sexton's Eye is a silver star treasure of Sexton's constellation. Its usage is unknown. Its name had appeared before, but very quickly disappeared. We need to spend more time to investigate. The location of the star power eye of Cetus constellation. We have found it. It is the Lin family of Cetus constellation. Bell looked at everyone. The rest were calm. Only Tang Tian and Bing. The two of them had extremely similar expressions, fierce faces, their entire bodies releasing dense, killing intent. Sen Yu is Sexton's constellation's trump card martial master. The so-called martial master referred to martial artists who specialized in guiding other people's training. They were similar to teachers in academies, but most of them had their own training grounds to teach their disciples. Sexton's constellation was filled with big and small training grounds. All of these training grounds had different standards, and Sinu's training grounds was rather famous in Sexton's constellation. If not for his old friend's invitation, adding the fact that he felt the chaos of the chaotic world and wanted to find a backer, he would have lived comfortably in Sexton's constellation. But what he did not expect was that after Tang Tian took over Cetus constellation, he did not carry out any cleansing. Elder Lin didn't think too much about it. In such a chaotic world, he had to stay at home and protect his family. Bing was also in a difficult situation. This kind of awkward matter, Crazy Tang, was enough. Where did this old man come from? Tang Tian's intuition was extremely sharp, and he could clearly feel that this spring was unusual. The star power of a constellation had many different forms. Some constellation star power was like meridians and blood vessels. Some constellation star power was like clouds and mist. But regardless of the form, there would always be a special node, and that was the star power eye. The safe and sound sword was Cetus constellation's star dark treasure and was originally rejected by the Saint Treasure, but now that the Saint Treasure was gone, the safe and sound sword was instead not rejected by Cetus constellation's star power. And although the safe and sound sword was not a gold Saint Treasure, but the star dark treasure allowed it to have the qualifications to be judged as a Saint Treasure. After a moment, Elder Lin suddenly opened his eyes and could not help but exclaim out. Deep underground, a slight tremor came out, as though there was water flowing, and very quickly, the tremor became more and more intense. Elder Lin looked at Tang Tian and reminded him, I heard that if you want to use the star power eye to judge a Saint Treasure, the higher the grade of the star treasure, the better. Under Elder Lin's lead, they quickly arrived at a valley. Luckily, I have already joined these assholes. Cetus constellation, Lin family. Your Majesty, you can summon the Lin family to come and ask. Han Tao suggested. What Han Tao meant was that you are now the master of a constellation and should have the bearing and demeanor of a master. A ray of light aura shot into the sky, flying towards Ursa major constellation. Cetus constellation expressed its allegiance. Then let us go and pay a visit to the Lin family now. Tang Tian rubbed his fists, his killing intent soaring. Assholes. What a bunch of assholes. Tang Tian laughed foolishly as he followed behind. Who had provoked these two people? Or did they quarrel? That's not right. These two fellows would have fought if they had a conflict. Giving each other a cold war is not their style. It was as if Tang Tian saw a gigantic whale swimming slowly under the ground. That beam of light was spat out by the gigantic whale. Go, Bing said coldly. Why not? The Lin family had a deep foundation in Cetus constellation. He was very clear. When Gongqing left, he brought along the Saint treasures and a few gold star treasures of Cetus constellation, and Gongqing had long been prepared to judge the Saint treasures again. "So your majesty is here for the star power eye." Elder Lin immediately understood Tang Tian's intentions, and without further ado, he stood up and said, "Your majesty, please follow me." Everyone became even more silent. All of them looked at each other. Did the Lin family have 8 generations of bad luck? What exactly did the Lin family do to the two masters? Elder Lin's expression changed. The quieter it was, the greater the pressure onto Sun Yu's heart. He suppressed his fear and coughed lightly. "Your Majesty and Master just mentioned about Sexton's constellation and Sexton's eye. This Sexton's eye star treasure. This subordinate seems to have heard someone mention it before. Why don't this subordinate secretly inquire about it? To rush into someone else's house with such killing intent, that was too rude." Gongqing had calculated and calculated, but never thought of the safe and sound sword in Tang Tian's hands. The concentration of star power here is about 2% higher than outside. Elder Lin explained, "The star power does not have much use normally, other than the concentration of star power. Its range is very small. If not for that, the Lin family would not be able to keep the star power eye." Ever since Tang Tian entered Cetus constellation, Elder Lin had always been thinking about the future of the Lin family. It was reasonable to say that everyone had a friendship in the past, but that friendship was not deep, and Elder Lin did not think of using that friendship to gain any benefits, but just wanted to protect the Lin family from being cleansed. After about an hour, Tang Tian still did not have the intention to leave. Everyone was startled once again. Although the Lin family had some power in Cetus constellation, but there was no need for the two death gods to visit at the same time. "I do not know if it is high grade or not, but I know it will definitely work." Tang Tian was brimming with confidence, a sword appearing in his hand. The more Sun Yu heard, the more shocked he became, thinking that tyrants were tyrants. No matter how weak Sexton constellation was, it was still one of the 10 equatorial palace halls, and they were talking about attacking it. Did it sound like it was because of a star treasure? And a silver star treasure. It was as though there were thousands of horses galloping underground. Elder Lin's face changed. He could not even stand properly. Especially Sun Yu, who was trembling with fear. What the hell happened? Why did they suddenly want to attack Sexton's constellation? Sun Yu felt as though there was a dagger on his back, and became even more nervous, especially when he saw Tang Tian and Bing's gaze. It was as though they were real. A peck and a drink. It was truly heaven's will. Elder Lin was moved. Is it the safe and sound sword? In the vast sky, Ursa Major constellation and Cetus constellation merged into one, lighting up the sky. Everyone knows of the grievances between His Majesty and Gongqing. Elder Lin laughed out loud, but he was sighing in his heart. The silver star treasure was not enough to complete a new saint treasure. Yes. Belle was curious, what Sexton's eye was it, to actually make the two of them prepare to attack Sexton constellation. It was normal for Crazy Tang to be crazy. Poker Face was a powerful military general and would definitely not mess around in matters like fighting a war. It was fine if it was a gold star treasure. At least it was somewhat reasonable, but for a silver star treasure. For a silver star treasure to attack an entire constellation. Tang Tian waved his hand. That's so troublesome. We will directly attack them. If you agree, it will be easy. If you don't, are you going or not? Tang Tian turned and asked Bing. He had promised to meet Xie in 3 months' time. Time was precious, and he could not wait to settle the matter on the same day. Everyone flew up into the sky, and as far as their eyes could see, the ground undulated like waves, causing everyone to be overwhelmed with shock. Even the disciples of the Lin family were dumbstruck. The elder's figure suddenly became unfathomable. Until now, Tang Tian's fierce name had spread throughout the entire Cetus constellation, and that was the infamous 3-group slaughterer. Suddenly, Tang Tian's face revealed a look of joy. A tear rolled down from the eye of the giant whale. Tang Tian opened his eyes wide, his face revealing a look of joy. He could feel the safe and sound sword following the star power, entering the depths of the constellation. Belle muttered in her heart, She did not find it strange that Tang Tian was like that. Crazy Tang would light up. Even if he did not light up, he would still occasionally light up. All right, no one knew when he would light up. That was too unreasonable. Build a city here, name it Safe and Sound City. Elder Lin saw that Tang Tian did not have the intention to leave and accompanied him by the side, but he knew the time needed to redesign the Saint Treasure was very long. Rumble, rumble. Taking down Sexton's constellation is easy, Bing said coldly. The problem is, can we find it after taking it down? Everyone looked at Tang Tian and Bing, feeling weird about their actions. The hall became quiet. It was truly the eye of star power. This is the eye of star power. Elder Lin pointed to the spring below his feet and said. Tang Tian was quiet for a moment, then suddenly pointed to the light screen and shouted to the surroundings. Tang Tian was surprised. Elder Lin really has good eyesight. I know you can definitely do it. Tang Tian shouted to the safe and sound sword in his hand, as though the person in front of him was his comrade, and he was loudly cheering for him. Upon entering the valley, they could feel that the star power was much denser. Gongqing would never have thought that the cause he had planted that year would bear such a result. Many of the outer clan elders of Onyx Soul were like that. In this chaotic world, the extermination of a family could happen at any time. If the family had them guard, naturally it would be much safer. Everyone's heart sucked in a breath of cold air again. A dazzling light pillar spewed out from the ground, straight to the height of 300 m, like a fountain, sprinkling down, forming a gigantic light screen. The dense star power continued to accumulate. That's great. Tang Tian excitedly clapped his fist. Ah, I never thought that the Lin family would actually have Elder Lin. Long time no see. Elder Lin's spirit is still so good. How are Wu Ho and the little princess? What happened to the two of them? Tang Tian, who was brimming with killing intent, upon entering the Lin family, was dumbstruck. The Lin family was actually the Elder Lin that he met in Wu Ho. That year, Elder Lin even gave him a jade plate and a star treasure. Humph! Sexton's eye is definitely in Sexton's constellation. We can just directly take down Sexton's constellation and end it. Tang Tian, who had a taut face, opened his mouth and said those words brimming with killing intent, causing everyone to suck in a breath of cold air. Tang Tian was excited and shouted loudly, I know you can do it. She will definitely be happy for you. Chapter 475. Congratulations, Brother Jing. Bai Cc was the first to congratulate him, followed by the others. For a sword saint who trained in sword spirits, no amount of respect was too much. But to Ursa Major Constellation, the unprecedented density of star power quickly stabilized the hearts of the people. Many martial artists even hoped to continue expanding their territory, and when the concentration of star power reached the Ecliptic Palace's grade, which was above 50%, then they could build a treasure city. The reason why the 12 Ecliptic Palaces were able to stand firm was because of the treasure city. The Saint Treasures controlled the star power of the constellation, but in truth, every Saint Treasure of the constellation was a huge system, and the treasure city was using this point. The Saint Treasures were the pivots of the star power. The Gold Star Treasures were the important nodes, second only to the Saint Treasures. The Silver Star Treasures were middle-sized nodes, and the Bronze Star Treasures were the branches. The spectators couldn't help but reveal astonished expressions. Jing Hao's martial spirit was actually shrinking continuously. Haha, I met someone familiar. It was very smooth. Tang Tian was not embarrassed at all, but was instead happy. Jing Hao was actually nurturing a sword spirit. How could they not be surprised? Yaya's swallowing light steel fist was not weak, and he was also crafty. Without little fool in his body, Tang Tian realized that his intuition had dropped by a lot. Who knew what he would encounter in Big Dipper? It was better to be careful. He was appointed as the city master of Safe and Sound City by Tang Tian, and he knew that regardless of his strength or his position in Onyx Soul, they were all insignificant, and it was only because of Tang Tian's old sentiments. To the Lin family, it was a huge opportunity. The sword lights became more and more, crisscrossing in all directions, as though the space in front of him was being sliced into many scars. Jing Hao's heart was filled with joy. He did not think that removing the energy transformation would actually allow him to train out a sword spirit. Without true power, he was not used to it, but it also allowed him to be free without any restrictions and allowed him to calm down and think about what was the essence of the sword. If it was said that previously everyone still had the identity of a saint, but now no one dared to do so. Although they were saint-level experts, there were still differences between them. They might be slightly stronger than the three of them, but they no longer had any room for improvement. On the other hand, Jing Hao and the other two had unlimited possibilities. The so-called Treasure City was a city that was protected by secret treasures. Such a city would have a significant increase in both the concentration of star power and security. Everyone was dumbfounded. That was the Ursa Major star's umbrella. The sword light became thinner and thinner. In the end, it only left an extremely fine straight light mark in the air, as thin as a strand of hair. The hair-thin sword light lingered in the air for a long time. Although the concentration of star power was unable to immediately bring any substantial benefits to Ursa Major constellation, but in the long run, it was their foundation. The rich star power could attract more martial artists and shorten the cultivation time of the local martial artists. Everyone's face changed. He Yuming's words were taboo. How could they casually ask about other people's enlightenment? He Yuming received the greatest impact. He was a swordsman, and no one knew better than him how difficult it was to form a sword spirit. An indescribable sharpness emanated from Jing Hao's body and Ling Su's spirit domain. How could they not recognize it? Aries constellation's most orthodox inheritance, Aries' spear of stars. Most importantly, Tang Tian did not want to waste time. Getting injured was a small matter. If it delayed his appointment with Jie, he would not be willing. Without using any true power, the speed of the sword that he casually thrusted out was much faster than before. But Jing Hao frowned. His sword techniques were about precision and control. Although the speed of the sword was fast, he did not control it well. How was that possible? Time was tight. He did not want to waste even half a minute. In the quiet room that Ling Su was in, a light pillar soared into the sky. Stars revolved around it. It was bright and beautiful. In the midst of the wind chimes, a war song floated out. The silver spear is like snow. The clouds are untainted. The sound of the sheep horn bells, the cool breeze does not pass. He completely forgot about himself. Jing Hao's martial spirit, following the sword aura's changes, also continuously changing. He planned to wait for Crane and Ling Su to come out, and then set off for Big Dipper to explore. Saint Rank. The safe and sound sword had a good home and met Elder Lin that year, and even brought his grandson over. Tang Tian was extremely happy. Sword spirit. The other saints were startled, and then their faces changed. Before rushing into the courtyard, Tang Tian shouted, for this trip to Big Dipper, he was prepared to bring the two brats along. What a weird feeling. Jing Hao moved his four limbs. The feeling of his body was foreign to him. He was never a swordsman that was known for his strength. Other than Yi Zhaogu, that lunatic, there were very few swordsmen that were known for their strength. What is a sword spirit? He Yuming suddenly asked. Crane and Ling Su still needed a period of time to come out, and Jing Hao also needed to stabilize his realm, so Tang Tian might as well go and prepare. This is sword spirit, He Yuming muttered, his eyes revealing a fanatical look. When Tang Tian returned to Ursa Major constellation, he brought along a 7-year-old child. He was Elder Lin's grandson, Ah Chao. Elder Lin doted on Ah Chao. Since he was young, Ah Chao had displayed extremely high talent, so Elder Lin allowed him to learn from Tang Tian. Tang Tian had a group of saint-rank teachers by his side, and by following Tang Tian, Ah Chao could learn much more than in the Lin family. Jing Hao smiled. Thank you, thank you. Jing Hao looked at He Yuming. He could see the fanaticism in He Yuming's eyes, the fanaticism towards swords. His heart was calm, and said softly, energy is not a sword. A sword is a sword. Building a treasure city could maximize the use of star power, and if there was an attack, Not only could the treasure city use the surrounding star power, it could also obtain support through the gigantic star power network. Suddenly, at this time, two completely different auras came from two different directions, causing everyone to jump in fright. Chi. He quickly immersed himself in training. He needed time to familiarize himself with his brand new body. The sword light was perfectly straight without a trace of arc, as though it was drawn with a ruler. With the addition of Cetus constellation, Ursa Major constellation's star power concentration increased greatly, and currently, Ursa Major constellation star power had already reached an astonishing 39%. This number had already reached the peak of the equatorial Palace Hall constellations. How is that possible? Previously, regarding Ling Su's spear techniques, were all rumors, but now, everyone was certain Ling Su trained in the Aries spear of stars. Sword spirit was a rare and extreme spirit domain, because this spirit domain was a sword. When a martial spirit transforms into a sword, it would become a sword spirit. Upon forming a sword spirit, it meant that the martial artist had already started to touch the essence of the sword. Only the purest swordsman could form a sword spirit. Sword spirit was the spirit domain that all swordsmen yearned for even in their dreams. But time was of the essence. The problem of Cetus constellation was solved, so it was time to explore Big Dipper. Jing Hao's words were very simple, causing all the saints to reveal a pondering expression. You all became saints. Tang Tian appeared like a whirlwind, his face filled with joy. He did not expect to meet with such good news upon his return. That was also the reason why the 12 ecliptic palace halls were so much stronger than the 10 equatorial palace halls. They could clearly see that Aries constellation above them had a reaction and suddenly lit up, and Aries constellation had definitely received the news. 10 years later, they would definitely not be able to fight against the three of them, maybe not even 10 years. He could feel the unprecedented power in his body. The sword in his hands seemed to be weightless. He tried to gently stab out chi. The sword light was like lightning. Of course, the higher-ups of Ursa Major constellation were still very clear. The fruits of victory required a very long time to be digested. If it was not digested, it would leave behind too many hidden dangers, and that would be troublesome. Luckily for Longsho Jing and Pai Pa, they were both patient and meticulous people. Under their grooming, Ursa Major constellation continued to become stronger. Yaya, little fool. Apart from a sword, there was nothing else. In history, the number of swordsmen that had birth sword spirits could be counted with one's fingers, but every single one of them were the pinnacle existences of their generation and were the strongest sword saints that caused fear in people. He was anxious to return. His astute mind was already thinking, what would Aries constellation's reaction be? Pounce and kill? Crazy Tang was not to be trifled with, and the current Ursa Major constellation was even more so. And Aries constellation had declined for a few hundred years. The Black Feathers mounts were rotten from their roots. How many people would reminisce about the glory of the Silver Frost mounts? That was interesting, to think that the two of them would also ascend to the saint rank. When he barged into the courtyard and saw Little Fool, he was immediately dumbstruck. Little Fool, who was floating in the air, dressed in an exquisite blue tang suit with black cloth shoes, adding on his exquisite yet stern face, his body that was not even 10 centimeters tall, was unspeakably cute. The other saints then suddenly reacted, thinking in their hearts, this lady stole the lead. Jing Hao, Crane, and Ling Su were bestowed as saints, causing Ursa Major constellation's strength to explode. Furthermore, the three of them had extraordinary spirit domains. Your Majesty, did your trip go smoothly? Ding Man snatched the first to speak, laughing. Very quickly, had the saint rank truly become rotten cabbages on the streets? In one day, in one place, 3 martial artists were bestowed as saints at the same time, and all the saints present were knowledgeable people. They could not tell what Crane's spirit domain was, but just based on the chi, they knew that it was not an ordinary spirit domain. Clan Elder Lin could see it clearly. The Lin family had contributed greatly to Ursa Major constellation, but at the same time, they had completely offended Gong Qing and his group. Jing Hao opened his eyes. His pupils were simple and unadorned, but no one dared to look down on him. From a moment he nurtured a sword spirit. It meant that as long as he did not die, he would definitely become one of the strongest martial artists in the world. This was a long-term benefit. So Ursa Major constellation swallowing Cetus constellation did not cause too much of a ripple. People only mocked Gong Qing for swallowing the bitter fruit he had planted in the past. In the sky above Crane's quiet room, the sky was filled with multicolored clouds. The black cranes circled without dispersing. The clear crane cry could be heard from afar. The clouds lingered, mysterious and indifferent, as though there was a mysterious hermit from the ancient East. But Tang Tian's gaze was attracted to the small umbrella in Little Fool's hand that was covered with stars. Gradually, his sword lit up with a misty light aura. The light aura was very gentle, not dazzling at all. After removing the energy transformation, his body did not have any bit of true power. The faint sword aura was actually his sword itself absorbing the surrounding star power. Chapter 476. Just that before Tang Tian left, he had an unresigned look in his eyes, causing everyone's heart to tremble at the same time. When Tang Tian walked out of the courtyard, everyone sat paralyzed on the ground. Don't tell me saints have no weaknesses? Tang Tian had a face of disbelief. Whether or not he could become a saint, he did not care. What he cared about was whether or not he could defeat the opponent. I know it's not good, and I also know that your love can only be so little. I can only keep on wanting until you want to escape. He could clearly feel that the Ursa Major star's umbrella in his hand contained a surprising amount of power. Every star on the umbrella was filled with fatal danger. He gently turned the umbrella handle. The stars on the umbrella's surface were like dewdrops, sliding down the umbrella's surface, revolving around Tang Tian's body. It was extremely beautiful. Why? Tang Tian did not understand and asked, "Can you be a bit more promising? We are saints after all." Do Yong had a look of disdain. Fool! Tang Tian did not care. He was extremely jealous of Big Brother Jing Hao and the rest who had gained enlightenment on his spirit domain. When would he be able to have a spirit domain? The 7 saints were tired to the point of complaining. No matter how strong a saint was, they were still human. Jing Hao and the other 2 finally came out. After saving the 7 people, they were heading towards Big Dipper. What do we do? Liang Feng cried. Because the higher the star power, the better they can deduce the laws, and the better they can understand the laws of heaven and earth. This is also one of the reasons why there are not many martial artists in the 12 ecliptic palaces, because the majority of the star power has to be given to the saints. The constellation master provides the star power. The saints provide the martial power. Liang Feng explained. Very quickly, Tang Tian realized. Little Fool was surrounded by a faint energy. The energy was extremely pure, even purer than the true power in his body in the past. Tang Tian was dumbstruck. What was that? The wind blew past, sweeping up the leaves, the 5 figures sitting paralyzed, with an indescribable desolation. The familiar melody floated in their minds at the same time. A power that even they could not understand. How could it be considered their own power? Then why doesn't Leo Constellation send more saints? Tang Tian asked curiously. Tang Tian grabbed the waiter in front of him and looked at it carefully. Saint rank is a term used in the secular world. We're usually called saints. Saints also have different levels, and Your Majesty may not know this, but the hierarchy of saints is even stricter. Saints did not train in true power or martial techniques. They only trained in spirit domains. The strength of the spirit domain determined the strength of the saint. The strength of a spirit domain was divided by bronze, silver, and gold. All the spirit domains that had just been bestowed as saints were all bronze spirit domains, and were hailed as bronze saints. We are all bronze saints. Do you dare to be more cooperative? Do you dare to be more skillful? Waiter, how did you learn this? Tang Tian squatted down and pointed at the astral umbrella in the waiter's hand. Tang Tian saw it clearly. It was indeed the Ursa Major star's umbrella. But when did this guy learn the Ursa Major star's umbrella? Tang Tian completely did not understand what was going on. Tang Tian's face was filled with disdain and arrogance. Don't think that you can scare me. I have killed a saint before. Unfortunately, facing the ferocious, no, mad tiger like Tang Tian, no one dared to say no. If not, wouldn't that mean that Tang Tian would never be able to become a saint? Tang Tian came to the Big Dipper star door. The reason why he did not bring Liang Feng and the rest was because Ursa's major constellation needed someone to guard it. On the other hand, he was not familiar enough with them and did not have a good rapport with them. And his coordination with Jing Hao and Ling Su was much better. As for Bai Ci, she was proficient in music and could be useful against star spirit beasts. Magic Flute was stronger than Bai Ci, but he was after all a spirit general. If he encountered some special places, he would be weakened, and Dingman's medical saint was even more useful. The world of the saint rank. Liang Feng somewhat understood, but it was not easy for him to have a chance to perform, so he had to do it well. But he pondered for a moment and said, "In Heaven's Road, the saint rank is the peak of martial artists, but only after being bestowed as a saint. Do you know that the saint rank is just a doorstep? Only by stepping over this doorstep can you truly see the source of the world. The world of the saint rank is much bigger than what people can imagine." That thought caused everyone to tremble in fear. 7 saints? No. Adding Big Brother Jing Hao and the rest, there were a total of 10 saints. With 10 saints as sparring partners, Tang Tian did not believe that he could not find a way to deal with the saints. The weakness of saints? Liang Feng was startled again. What weakness do saints have? Saints are also humans. Humans are not like animals. Do Yong replied without hesitation. That is not good. The barbaric Tang Tian was completely a beast in human form. It's probably not worth it. Liang Feng laughed out loud. Maybe in Liang's eyes, Orion Constellation is not worth saints taking action. And the Honorable Martial Alliance also has saints. Once the saint from both sides start a large-scale battle, then the war will truly reach its climax. Now all parties are still at a more restrained stage. Without saying a word, Tang Tian was the first to rush in. Then what about the Silver Saints and Gold Saints? Tang Tian could not help but ask. Tang Tian immediately became excited. It was obvious that Little Fool had many mystical aspects that he did not understand. With a thought, Little Fool entered his body. Then you will be in charge of sparring? He Yuming immediately said. Seeing Liang Feng in a daze, Tang Tian no longer held any hope. As expected, he could only rely on himself. He looked at Liang Feng with ill intentions. Then I can only use the simplest method. CC and Man can relax now. They will follow along and have an excuse to avoid sparring partners. If I am not wrong, they will definitely go in a closed-door training once they return. Women are still the best. He Yuming's face was full of envy. I know this is not good, and I also know that your love can only be so little. I can only keep on wanting you until you want to escape. All right, seems like the name was not wrong. Liang Feng then thought about it. The person in front of him was a freak that did not even gain enlightenment on the spirit domain and immediately felt a headache. Tang Tian's martial spirit was in an unprecedented form. Whether such a martial spirit could gain enlightenment on the spirit domain, no one knew. Tang Tian understood and asked the question he wanted to ask the most. How can I deal with saints? He only regained his senses after a long time. With a thought, Little Fool slowly floated out of his body. Little Fool held onto the star's umbrella, floating in front of him like a mist, its exquisite face cold and emotionless. The two of them looked at each other, speechless. I am not a saint. Tang Tian stared at Liang Feng. Suddenly, Tang Tian felt that he should think about his future path. It did not matter if he was not strong enough, but if he did not even have a direction to move forward, that would be terrible. His current strength was not weak, but he did not even know how to train in the future. He was indeed too impatient. He Yuming saw the evil gazes of the others, and his face changed. Hey, I am going to become a woman. Then I will have to give up one spot. Tang Tian rubbed his chin. The power of that punch was not bad, but Tang Tian was not too excited. because that was the power of the Ursa Major Star's umbrella, and the Ursa Major Star's umbrella was created by Little Fool. Little Fool was his own martial spirit, but Tang Tian realized that Little Fool was extremely independent and complete, although they were mentally connected, but it was not under his control. Ursa Major Star's umbrella. The 12 ecliptic palaces, honorable martial alliance, and onyx soul, as well as a few ancient sects, only have them. Liang Feng said, "Sadly, I have never seen it before. Saints do not like to go to places with low star power concentration. Only saints like us who are tied down and do not have much ambition will come here." "Huh!" The 5 of them cried out in pain, and all fell backwards, lying on the ground. "What about closed-door training?" Liang Feng asked weakly. Little Fool looked at Tang Tian, his face blank. Liang Feng was startled and shook his head. "To be able to deal with saints, only saints can." "Interesting." The surrounding star power gathered towards Tang Tian at an astonishing speed, causing Tang Tian to jump in shock. Very quickly, the star power flowed along Tang Tian's wrist, continuously transforming, and a transparent energy umbrella filled with stars appeared in Tang Tian's hands. Tang Tian found someone to call Liang Feng over, and when Liang Feng arrived, he immediately said, "Come, tell me about the world of saints." Pervert, freak, crazy. No one cared about him. Bai CC and Ding Man had excuses, but they did not. With a light sound, all the stars in the fist aura exploded at the same time, and a ball of light that was not dazzling lit up, causing all the hairs on Tang Tian's body to stand. He could clearly feel that inside the ball of light, even the space was being annihilated. Before Ding Man could shout, Tang Tian's figure disappeared into the starry door. 2 seconds later, only she and Bai CC were left in the starry door. Do Yong rubbed his fists, eager to fight. "Becoming a woman is much easier than becoming a saint. Let us help you." Thinking about how his future enemies would all be saints, and how could he fight against them when he was still clueless about them, Tang Tian was stunned by the power of the fist. When the rest thought about it, their hearts turned cold. 7 people to deal with Tang Tian. They were already exhausted. If it were to become 4 people to deal with Crazy Tang. On average, in 3 days, every saint had gone through 5 intense, high-intensity battles. Liang Feng and the rest were on the verge of tears. The number of battles they had fought in the past 10 years could not even compare to the past 3 days. Tang Tian seemed to have understood, and suddenly released a fist. Tang Tian's fist had just moved, when a cluster of stars seemed to be moved by the wind, and coiled around Tang Tian's fist, transforming into a multicolored fist aura. When Tang Tian's fist was released, whoosh, the fist aura transformed into a multicolored light aura and instantly disappeared into the air. "Let's go in." What made them collapse even more was that Yaya was playing a sorrowful tune at the side. "Buzz." Tang Tian pounced towards Liang Feng. Little Fool floated in front of Tang Tian. Everyone turned to look at He Yuming. Furthermore, the energy in the air would automatically gather around Little Fool, and Little Fool was like a magnet that could attract energy. Liang Feng mocked himself. The saints of the small constellations are all bronze saints. No, I need to be clear. In 3 days, the 7 saints were all beaten by Tang Tian. That kind of craziness scared the 7 of them half to death. Tang Tian's physique was extremely abnormal. It was completely inconceivable, and he fought an average of 2 hours. In 3 days, he did not rest at all, and fought a total of 36 battles. So scary. We want to escape too. Chapter 477. Everyone revealed a look of sympathy. Yes, this unknown little girl. Tang Tian was not satisfied. He looked everywhere, but there was nothing. No reason. Ling Su said casually. All of the martial artists rushed forward. Tang Tian nodded his head. "Since we cannot go to Ursa Major Ridge, then we will go to the remaining 6 cities. We will flatten the 6 cities. That way Ling Su will not be able to be a hero and save the damsel in distress." Little Fool floated on Tang Tian's shoulder, gently waving the star umbrella. countless of starlight fell from the umbrella, like raindrops being shaken off, floating in the surroundings. Every starlight released a gentle light aura, causing the surroundings to become bright. "No," Ling Su said. His expression was calm, only deep in his orange pupils. There was a blazing flame burning in them. The two of them looked at each other and were stunned. "It's very far. We need to walk for 2 months." Wei Weiyan cried like a cat. Everyone flew up the city walls at the same time, causing their faces to change. In the distance, countless of martial artists rushed over like a tide. His eyes immediately looked around. The ground was covered with a thick layer of dust. There was a pile of things in the corner, but when Tang Tian ran over, with a light touch, the pile of things immediately turned into ashes. It was obvious that due to the passage of time, it had completely decayed. "Are we going to die?" Wei Weiyan muttered. The terrifying experience, to an 11-year-old girl, was a terrifying nightmare. "Little fool is so obedient." Wei Weiyan's expression became more relaxed. "Big Dipper is the ruler here. There are 7 cities, namely Dubhi, Merak, Fekta, Megrez, Alioth, Mizar, and Alcade. Alcade City is the 7th city. Every city has a city lord overseeing it. Alcade City's city lord is my brother. For the sake of saving me, he was killed by them." Ling Su took out a bandage. After his body had lost its energy transformation, all the hidden injuries in the past had disappeared, and the bandage was no longer needed. Who knew that would be useful today? Ling Su shook his head, laughing at himself. He patiently tied Wei Weiyan onto his back. He almost tied Wei Weiyan up, only revealing her head. Then he tied her tightly on his back. "Who?" A large group of people appeared behind the little girl, and the eyes of the leading martial artist lit up. "Capture her," Ding Man anxiously asked Tang Tian. "Why didn't you stop him?" Wei Weiyan stopped crying. Her expression became strong. She pointed to the right. "Over there, Big Brother's mount is there. It is called Ashwe. It is a treading on snow spirit horse." Everyone revealed a troubled expression. 2 months was too long. Initially, Tang Tian had only planned to spend half a month to deal with Big Dipper. He had never imagined that Big Dipper's situation would be so complicated. Ling Su's eyes turned cold, and his heart was suddenly filled with killing intent. He was not a nice guy to begin with. He didn't even take out his spear. His right palm was empty, as if there was an invisible spear in it. He stepped forward and thrust it forward. The heavy sound of a mechanism came from underground. The wall in front of them suddenly sank, turning into a flight of stairs. Above the stairs, light appeared. Without another word, Ling Su took the lead and rushed up the stairs. "What is this place?" Tang Tian muttered. He never thought that behind the star door it would be pitch black. He and Chie had agreed to meet in 3 months. The leading martial artist was surprised and immediately became angry. But the few people in front of him were unfamiliar and were not to be trifled with. He softened his tone. "I'm the commander of Kai Yang City's guards, and have received orders to capture the traitor. I hope that the few masters can make things convenient for us. Let's help him a little," Jing Hao said. Suddenly, Tang Tian's voice came out from above. "Ling Su, which door do you want to leave from?" Ling Su's face darkened. His figure flashed. Everyone felt their vision blurring, and the few martial artists flew out like sandbags. "Call Liang Feng and the rest over," Tang Tian said straightforwardly. "Let's end this quickly. We want to flatten Big Dipper Palace. Big Dipper is ours. To dare snatch Big Dipper from us, we will turn them into dregs." Everyone was moved. Ling Su stopped Wei Weiyan and asked, "Where is Ursa Major Ridge?" Crane said gently, "Please do not worry. We will protect your safety. May I ask, where is this place?" "Yes." Wei Weiyan nodded her head. "Every city lord of Big Dipper is a saint." Ling Su could not be bothered. He picked up Wei Weiyan and placed her on his shoulder and said without turning his head, "I will send her back. Then I will find you guys." Pitch black. The surroundings were pitch black, and the air was turbid. Ding Man could not help but praise. When Little Fool appeared, he immediately conquered Ding Man and by CC's hearts. Dressed in a blue tang robe, he stood perfectly straight, His face was exquisite and cute. He looked to be in a daze without any expression and would occasionally blink his eyes, which made people like him. Yaya was extremely dissatisfied with the current situation. He made some gestures, causing people to laugh. A few martial artists laughed sinisterly and pounced forward. Wei Weiyan said, "East Gate." "Who are you guys?" Ah Shui caressed Wei Weiyan's cheeks, causing Wei Weiyan to hold back her tears. She turned and said to Ling Su, "Ah Shui has agreed to bring us." Seeing that, the rest all followed. Every martial artist's throats burst out with blood, revealing a hole the size of chicken eggs. Secret room? Tang Tian immediately became excited. Are there any treasures? To Ursa major constellation, the Big Dipper Palace was an existence that they had to sweep clean. It is a secret room. Crane looked around. His tone was very certain. It is here. Crane suddenly leapt up lightly, like a nimble big crane. He flew to a 15 m tall brick on the wall and pressed down, causing the brick to slowly sink down. Wei Weiyan's tears flowed down, and she sobbed silently. "Search! All of you, search carefully. Do not miss any place." Ding Man's face revealed a look of displeasure. Ling Su's killing intent was too strong. "No." Crane revealed a smile. "Can you tell us about Big Dipper?" "Which door?" Ling Su asked Wei Weiyan without turning his head. "Good. We'll cover you." After Tang Tian said this, he disappeared. "We need someone to stay here." Ding Man reminded Tang Tian. Suddenly, shouts of killing came out from outside. Suddenly, hurried footsteps came out from behind the little girl, causing the fear on her face to become even denser. "I beg you to send me back to Ursa Major Ridge. They have already betrayed the Alliance that year. They want to capture my grandfather. I beg you." He took out his silver spear and leaped onto the horse. "Really?" Ding Man looked at Tang Tian's determined face and did not say anything else. Suddenly, a martial artist shouted, "Over here! Ah Shui!" Wei Weiyan saw the treading snow spirit horse, and her eyes turned red. She thought of her dead brother. The treading snow spirit horse neighed. It seemed to understand that its master was dead. "I will send her there," Ling Su suddenly said. When the little girl took out the jade pendant, the leader of the martial artist's face changed. He bellowed, "To actually dare to protect the traitor, kill him." Everyone looked at each other and saw the cautiousness in each other's eyes. There were many saints. To them, it was definitely not good news. After a while, she awoke from her dream and said anxiously, "Let's run. The saint from the other cities will be here soon." "Ah Shui, can you send us back to Ursa Major Ridge?" Wei Weiyan touched Ah Shui's neck and cried. The leader of the martial artists panicked, but Ling Su did not have the intention to let him go. His figure flashed. "Chi!" The martial artist's throat burst out with blood, and he fell to the ground. Ling Su was like a big bird, quickly flying forward. Along the way, there were corpses. It was obvious that there was an intense battle. Wei Weiyan raised her head, looked at Ling Su, tears flowing down her cheeks. She bit her lips. "They will definitely send people to kill you." "Conscience." Crane was also shocked. "How can he have a conscience?" Ling Su's expression was calm. Wei Weiyan was tied to his back. He sat on the treading snow spirit horse, quietly standing behind the East City gate. Wei Weiyan was quiet from start to finish, until now. She suddenly spoke out. "Why did you help me?" Wei Weiyan suddenly knelt down and kowtowed to everyone. Ling Su carried Wei Weiyan. "Where is the mount?" Tang Tian's face changed. "Not good. Ling Su is not out of the city." Ling Su did not explain and asked Wei Weiyan, "Where can we find a mount?" "This is Alcate City." Wei Weiyan raised her head and said, "It is the furthest city from the Big Dipper 7 cities. Aren't you people from here?" It was an extremely large secret room, a standard square secret room, with a length and width of over 60 m. The surrounding walls were made of large pieces of rocks. Although it was a secret room, it was more like a warehouse. "Why should we stop them?" Tang Tian looked at Ding Man's saints. "Other cities have saints?" Ding Man asked. Ling Yong blocked in front of the young lady and asked coldly. Tang Tian interrupted Ding Man. "Although I do not know why Ling Su is doing this, but I know he definitely has his reasons. I believe in him." Before she could finish, she was grabbed by Ling Su's hand and placed on her back. "What's wrong with Ling Su?" Tang Tian muttered. "Don't move." Ka. Ling Su's gaze landed on the young lady. Below her ear, there was an extremely small, white, moon-shaped imprint. Everyone was shocked. They looked at Ling Su in disbelief. Ling Su was definitely not a good person. If it was Crane, everyone would not be so surprised. Wei Weian looked at Ling Su in a daze. Under Wei Weian's guidance, Ling Su quickly found the treading snow spirit horse. The battle cries outside were quickly approaching. Upon coming out, Ling Su was startled. In front of him was a little girl with a face full of fear, looking at him in a daze. The little girl was about 11 or 12 years old, with a head full of brown hair and blue eyes. Although she was young, one could tell that she was a beauty. "I'm not a traitor," the little girl suddenly said. In her hand was a jade pendant with light aura circulating around it. "I am Ursa Major family's holy maiden Wei Wei, and Big Dipper has betrayed the alliance, leaving behind a group of dumbstruck people. Hey, at this time, we should be looking for an exit, and not some treasures, right?" Ding Man could not help but speak out. She had never seen such an unreliable constellation leader. How did he get to where he is today? Chi. Chapter 478. The shattered auras around Tang Tian's body continued to converge. They revolved at an astonishing speed, forming an energy spiral that enveloped Tang Tian's entire body. Tang Tian extended both of his arms out, the center of the spiraling energy converging at his palms, transforming into a sharp, spiraling head. An old voice could be heard by the entire field, and a powerful chi soared into the sky. The saint's face was pale white. Blood leaked out of the corner of his mouth. Tang Tian's appearance was not any better. All of his clothes were tattered, and his arms were shrouded in smoke. The distance between both parties was getting closer and closer. One of the enemies behind did not expect his comrade to be unable to withstand Tang Tian's attack, and only when his comrade flew in front of him did he react and immediately extended his hand out to catch him. Upon touching the opponent's body, his face changed. Crack, his wrist was fractured, and his comrade's body directly crashed into his embrace. As though he was struck, he spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. "That makes sense." Tang Tian nodded his head, and after a while, he reacted, enraged. "Ling Su actually dares to have designs on Chia. Wait for him to come back. I will take care of him." The opponent's face changed. Countless of red lights lit up around him. The red lights were like raindrops, entering both of his fists, and the red light on his fists became extremely dense, like two red suns. Among the crowd that had been suppressed, there were many figures that shot out. A few archers shot out continuously, the sound of bowstrings sounding out continuously. Dozens of light auras whistled through the air, rushing towards by CC. And Tang Tian howled and rushed into the crowd. However, a black shadow suddenly appeared beside this bronze saint and circled around him. Countless shattered auras fell around him. The Honorable Martial Alliance had extended their tentacles to Big Dipper, and that was to deal with Ursa Major Constellation. Yaya saw the opportunity and suddenly jumped up, releasing 7 to 8 fists in one breath, swallowing light steel fist. But Tang Tian loved the battlefield even more. So treacherous. Bang! What spirit domain was that? Because the Star Door was inside Alcade City. If they lost it, it would be a fatal blow to Ursa Major Constellation. Suddenly, Jing Hao's expression changed. He raised his voice and said, "Be careful. There are people from the Honorable Martial Alliance." Hiss! Ling Su took the opportunity to speed up, his figure quickly disappearing into the horizon. With Ling Su gone, Tang Tian was able to focus more on fighting. Others were not mentally prepared for this battle, but Tang Tian was more than willing. During this period of time, he had been working hard to break out of his predicament, but he had not figured it out yet. His need for actual combat was very high. Liang Feng and the others were tortured to the point where they wished they were dead. Tang Tian bellowed, and like a cannonball, he bolted into the enemy's formation. "I think Chiet is prettier," Tang Tian simply replied. Crane replied, Wei Weian will be very beautiful when she grows up. In this head-on clash, Tang Tian had the upper hand. However, it was not so easy to win. A saint's life force was extremely tenacious, and killing them was not easy. What a good way to go. A white-robed old man floated in the air, his tone sinister. Let's see how capable you are. Sound-type martial artists were the best way to deal with cannon fodder. Tang Tian's gaze locked onto one of them. His intuition was extremely sharp, and immediately discovered the saint who was mixed in with the rest. Red Sun's saint was shocked. It was his first time encountering such a strange spirit domain. The space around him was filled with a sticky feeling. He looked at the sword in Crane's hand. This fellow's spirit domain was actually not a sword-type spirit domain. He closed in. The appearance of the Honorable Martial Alliance was definitely not a coincidence. Obviously, the Big Dipper 7 cities originally had an alliance with the Ursa Major family. And now that the 6 cities had broken the alliance, and the Alcade City Lord was killed, he would never believe that the Honorable Martial Alliance was not involved. Red Sun's saint did not think that Crane would actually sneak an attack. Crane's figure had just expanded, and he immediately felt that something was wrong. He felt as though his body had fallen into glue and was becoming more and more difficult to move. Dingman thought in his heart, I must definitely not offend Master Crane in the future. He is too sinister. Bang, bang, bang. This fellow, I must definitely get rid of him first. A dazzling light aura suddenly lit up, as though a small sun had exploded on the battlefield. The astonishing remnant technique brought with it an astonishing power, sweeping away all the martial artists in a 60 m radius. He had once heard of Jing Hao's talent, but had always laughed it off. But now that he had personally witnessed it, he knew that Jing Hao's talent was much stronger than the rumors. And Jing Hao, Tang Tian, and the rest were all not simple people. Stop him. If Chie Wei and is beautiful, he will not snatch Chie from you, Crane said without batting an eyelid. In such a sudden movement, a saint was taken care of, causing the surrounding martial artists to be completely shocked and immediately scattered. In the blink of an eye, the East Gate was swept clean by Tang Tian. The terrifying frequency of attacks struck the weak points, causing the Red Sun Saint's line of defense to fall. Tang Tian's fists rained down on his body, causing his body to tremble violently like a sieve, and in the blink of an eye, he was no longer breathing. Tang Tian's attack was extremely ferocious, adding that by his side, Yaya's swallowing light steel fist, and Little Fool's Ursa Major Star's umbrella, one big and two small, it was as though no one could stop him. It truly makes people's blood boil. Around Yaya's fists, it was as though even the light rays were being devoured. Red Sun Saint did not expect to be attacked, although he instinctively blocked it, but the powerful force caused him to reveal a flaw. Sound-type martial artists were natural-born martial artists in the battlefield, although their attacks were not strong, but the area they covered was something that other martial artists could not compare to. Tang Tian stood on top of the city walls. Ignoring the incoming martial artists, he muttered, "Little Crane, do you think Ling Su has taken a fancy to the young lady?" Crane had a different style. He was like a black crane dancing, indescribably agile. One after another black afterimages were faintly discernible, but it was a dense assassination. When the black afterimages flashed past, the enemies would be blown away by the wind, falling to the ground. The moment Yaya made his move, Tang Tian made his move at the same time. When the enemy was exposed by Yaya's swallowing light steel fist, his killing technique had already quietly arrived. As a saint, Bai Cixi would naturally not be affected by such a technique. Her hands gently plucked, the zither sounds resonated out, and the arrows in front of her shattered inch by inch, as though they had struck an invisible barrier, and flew everywhere. Jing Hao's expression was indifferent. People of different paths cannot make plans together. No one noticed that Little Fool had quietly floated into Tang Tian's body. The sunlight that was originally shining dimmed down. The zither sound enveloped the entire place. The martial artists with weaker true power only felt the blood and chi in their bodies churning. As far as the eye could see, the crowd suddenly froze. Sword Spirit. You actually gave birth to a sword spirit. The Honorable Martial Alliance Elder's voice was filled with disbelief. His right arm had disappeared, The wound looked as though it was measured by a ruler. It was extremely neat, and the wound was bleeding profusely. But the Honorable Martial Alliance elder did not feel anything. His face was filled with shock, completely stunned by Jing Hao's sword aura. Crane's expression was calm as he looked at the incoming martial artists, his mind quickly thinking. The opponent had originally planned to sneak an attack, but did not expect for Tang Tian to see through it, and being caught off guard, they were immediately in a difficult situation. Once Tang Tian took the initiative, even a saint would be flustered. Jing Hao, the Honorable Martial Group groomed you, but I never thought that you would betray the Honorable Martial Group. Bai Cixi looked at the incoming enemies. She was not prepared for the battle at all. She looked at Tang Tian. Her mind was puzzled. Why did this rascal have to fight everywhere he went? He was extremely clear of what a sword spirit represented. The feeling on the battlefield was completely different from sparring. Such a terrifying spirit domain actually appeared on an Honorable Martial Alliance trader. Crane, not good. The Saint Maiden is on his back. Red Sun Fist. The battle was extremely intense. Ling Su rode his horse and rushed out of Alcade City, but there were still countless martial artists flocking towards Alcade City. Honorable Martial Alliance. The concentration of star power in Big Dipper was much higher than outside. That also meant that the standard of the martial artists here was not low. Looking around, Crane realized that a few of them had the strength of a gold-ranked martial artist. He gathered all the power in his body, pushed the spiraling energy, and pounced towards the opponent. Clang! Ling Su. He shook his head, throwing all the distracting thoughts to the back of his mind, his gaze fixated on Jing Hao, who was holding onto his sword. Kill! Luckily, the Star Door was only 10 kilometers away from New Bearhead City. To a saint, such a distance was nothing. But Ding Man knew that Alcade City was in a dangerous situation, and her heart was burning with anxiety. Honorable Martial Alliance. They're truly haunting me. They do not want to die. Before the sound barrier cloud dissipated above the city tower, he appeared next to a martial artist almost out of thin air and punched the opponent's shield with the simplest and most basic fist technique. Under the opponent's shocked gaze, the shield broke into pieces, and Tang Tian's other hand had already pressed onto the opponent's heart. No. Once he matured, he would definitely be a huge threat to the Honorable Martial Alliance. Ding Man was sprinting. She was a medical saint and could only display a pitiful amount of power in battle. She was back to report the news. Ever since Jing Hao had exposed his identity as an Honorable Martial Alliance, Crane had ordered Ding Man to immediately call for reinforcements. Tang Tian had just shouted when the city gates suddenly opened, and a young man in white with a silver spear suddenly appeared. The treading snow spirit horse that Ling Su was riding on had extraordinary strength. Its speed was as fast as lightning. Its speed of sprinting had actually broken through the speed of sound. The sound barrier had not dissipated behind the city gates, and Ling Su had already rushed out. Everyone's face changed. For a person from the Honorable Martial Alliance to actually appear here, everyone's mind was shaken. They looked at each other, and all of them could smell a trace of a conspiracy. Only Tang Tian was enraged. The Honorable Martial Alliance actually dares to extend their claws into my bowl. I will kill them. Tang Tian's fists were extremely fast, like a torrential downpour, his fists directly striking towards the opponent's attack. They definitely could not let Jing Hao grow. That would be a disaster for the Honorable Martial Alliance. Alcade City definitely could not be lost. Someone shouted, and immediately, a large group of martial artists rushed over. Bai Cixi's zither sound suddenly came out. It was biting cold. The astonishing spiraling energy brought along a sharp whistling sound, clashed with the opponent's Red Sun Fist. At that moment, he did not even notice Yaya, who was beside him. The martial artist was like a wild beast that was rushing towards him and flew back at an even faster speed. Chapter 479. As soon as he said this, the crowd went into an uproar, especially the city lords. Their faces were filled with panic. They had betrayed the alliance, so the revenge of the Ursa major tribe would be incomparably fierce. although the barbarians did not interact with the outside world. But once they retaliated, it would be incomparably intense. The Honorable Marshal Group is not willing to start a war with little brat Tang at this time. Tang Tion's strength was insignificant, but this fellow's ability to pester others was top-notch. Marshal Group was not worried about Tang Tion, but the lion. I am an elder of the Marshal Group, and need to follow the Marshal Group strategy. Elder An's expression was calm. A ball of light lit up on his chest, and the light continued to devour his body. His body was like ice and snow, constantly melting. His expression was one of extreme fear. With you in charge, I can rest assured. Elder An chuckled. Dubby City Lord's bones softened. How's everyone's morale? Elder An smilingly poured a cup of tea for Dubby City Lord. Elder, you have great foresight. The Dubby City Lord hurriedly agreed. Dubby City Lord replied respectfully, replying to Elder An, around 8,000 years ago, the conflict between the Ursa Major clan and the martial artists from outside became increasingly intense, and in the end, an intense battle broke out in Big Dipper, causing the star power to become chaotic, causing the star door to disappear, and Big Dipper was sealed from then on. After fighting for over 500 years, both sides agreed on a ceasefire. The Ursa Major tribe will stay at the east of the Bear Ridge, and to the west of the Bear Ridge, they will build the Big Dipper 7 cities. All right, I'm leaving too. I'll be waiting for your good news. Eldarin stood up. He turned around and looked at the cultivator with a broken arm. He smiled and said, How many people can abandon all their family and friends? What I need to do is to slowly weave this net. At that time, this net will continue to wrap around him and send him to me bit by bit. One of the saints stood up and bowed respectfully. We will remember Elder's kindness. If there is anything you need us for in the future, please let us know. When Eldarin said this, all the saints were moved. Only when night fell did the Dubby City Lord hurriedly return. My lord, the martial artist with the severed arm stuttered, his expression horrified. The Dubby City Lord said respectfully, Please enlighten us, Elder. Although only the Dubby City Lord is present today, but the 6 city lords are of one mind. Together with the 7 newly joined saints, there are already 13 saints here. No matter how strong Tang Tion was, he wouldn't be able to do anything to them for the time being. Tang Tion should not be underestimated. How could any of you be weak? It's just a tie, and there's still that stupid bear we can use. The discussion gradually calmed down. Everyone looked at Elder and continued. I was originally interested in Big Dipper because of the thing in the hands of the Ursa Major tribe. This time, I knew that I had abandoned my roots to chase after the tail. No matter how powerful that thing was, how could it compare to Jing Hao in 10 years? If I have Jing Hao's peerless sword in my hand, who can stop me? Teacher Jing Hao's faction was currently in dire straits. If he gave them some benefits, they would be dead set on following him. Do you know that sometimes a person's feelings are like a net that you can't break free from? When Tang Tion sees the Honorable Martial Alliance, his reaction will definitely be intense. Eldarin smiled, but his gaze was ice-cold. If we provoke the Ursa Major tribe a little, both sides will definitely start a war. As long as the war starts, both sides will not have any leeway. So the crux of this battle is to kill Ling Su. Elder, don't worry. Dubby City Lord immediately said. The 3 city lords closest to them have already set off. No matter what, we will definitely not let them return to the Bear Ridge alive. He was secretly surprised. Tang Tion was truly not to be underestimated, to actually cause Eldarin to feel pressure. None of them could fight against Tang Tion. Eldarin's plan was extremely sinister, and if it was used well, they could just sit on the mountain and reap the spoils. Seeing that a few of the saints were still hesitating, Elder An's expression gradually became solemn. The meeting dispersed. The saints and city lords all left. They needed to discuss how to act. Sword spirit. He has cultivated out a sword spirit. As long as he does not die, he will definitely become the sharpest sword in the world. Elder An's gaze was fanatical, and he muttered to himself, Tang Tion cannot be subdued, but Jing Hao can, because he values comradeship, and people who value comradeship are the easiest to deal with. If Tang Tion is in dire straits, I believe Jing Hao is willing to use himself to exchange for Tang Tian's safety. What is Big Dipper? What are these saints? Ursa Major tribe might not be Tang Tian's opponent, no matter, as long as they slowly weaken him. I never thought that these mediocre people would be able to kill Tang Tian. I have enough patience. To saints, deducing laws and perfecting their spirit domains required star power, and a lot of it. Ordinary constellations were unable to satisfy their needs. That was also why saints favored the ecliptic palace constellations the most, and were not willing to stay in the small constellations. Star power was their most fundamental requirement. This is slightly different from our previous plans, but in this world, what does not rely on one's own two hands to fight for? At times, even the chance to fight for it is not easy. If not for Yin Yonglai's defeat, how would all of you have a chance? The martial artist with the broken arm was shocked. Master, why? Dubby City Lord was extremely excited. He wanted to kneel down and immediately said, "Thank you, Master, for nurturing me." Eldarin muttered to himself. His gaze was deep. My original intention was to find an item, which is most likely in the hands of the Ursa Major tribe. But the Ursa Major tribe is not easy to deal with, and coincidentally the war broke out. So I wanted to let Yin Yonglai be the blade, but I never thought that Yin Yonglai would not live up to expectations. Now that Tang Tian is here, it is to my liking, and this blade is even sharper. If it is not sharp, how can it cut the tough bones of the Ursa Major tribe? He swept his gaze across everyone and said indifferently, "Who can tell me? Why was Big Dipper sealed in the past?" Everyone's eyes lit up, especially Dubby City Lord. He was eager to try. He knew Ursa Major tribe's character. If they were able to kill Ling Su and the Holy Maiden, Ursa Major tribe would definitely fight to the death with Tang Tian. Eldarin smiled, and everyone immediately quietened down. Xiang, you have to help me. Help me obtain this unique and unparalleled weapon. Eldarin looked at the martial artist with the broken arm's frightened face and pleaded. Tang Tian is truly fast. His luck is always so good. The person who spoke was roughly 30 years old. His deep eyes had a faint, imposing aura. Even the smile on his face did not make people feel any warmth. The martial artist sitting below all kept quiet out of fear. Do a good job. After this matter, you will follow by my side. Eldarin encouraged and patted Dubby City Lord's shoulder. Dubby City Lord was overwhelmed by the favor and immediately reported, "Everyone will listen to Elder's words." Eldarin's expression was satisfied and said leisurely, 10 years ago, when I was looking through the records, I accidentally found out that Big Dipper was sealed from the inside and guessed that there was an ancient remnant that survived in Big Dipper. After that, I suddenly thought of a secret related to Aries constellation. There was once a Ursa Major martial artist that appeared and used the lost martial techniques of the Ursa Major tribe. I then followed this clue and found the place where he first appeared, and after much thought, I finally found this crack. The light aura swallowed the frightened face, and in the blink of an eye, there was nothing left. The calmer Eldarin spoke, the quieter everyone became. Although Eldarin was young, but his status was extremely respected, and his authority was extremely high. I originally thought, before Tang Tian arrived, everyone would be able to settle down here. Who knew that Brat Tang would come so quickly, which was out of my expectations. Let me tell everyone the truth here, very quickly. The martial group will completely withdraw from Big Dipper. He was the saint who fought with Jing Hao, and had his right arm cut off by Jing Hao. His tone was filled with unwillingness. That's right, you're all ancient remnant citizens. It is not easy. Eldarin sighed. And I heard that to the east of Bear Ridge, the star power is even denser. Such a good place. To give it to a group of barbarians is truly a waste. Big Dipper is sealed, and after 800 years of accumulation, the Big Dipper star power is extremely dense, almost comparable to the ecliptic palaces to bronze saints. It is truly a blessed land, and for everyone to use, it is more than enough. Everyone's expression, Eldarin saw it all, but his face did not change. The martial artist with the broken arm felt a chill in his heart. Outsiders all think that Yin Yon Lai took action for Orion constellation, but they do not know, compared to Big Dipper, what is Orion constellation. If not for Bear King's death, how would such a huge benefit land in your hands? Elder Anne's expression was cold. The 8 people below, other than Dubby City Lord, the other 6 were saints. They did not make a sound, but their hearts were all palpitating. After leaving Dubby City, the Honorable Martial Group martial artist with a broken arm could not help but ask, "Elder, are we really going to withdraw from Big Dipper like that?" And 13 saints, even if it was Tang Tian, it would not be easy to touch them. Everyone then understood, so it was like that. "Xiang, on the day of your funeral, I will light incense for you." They heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. They had never understood why Eldarin would help them obtain Big Dipper. In the void beside him, an extremely faint figure flashed past. Elder An's face thawed, and he smiled. "For everyone to help me hold back Tang Tian, that is the greatest help to me. Ursa Major Constellation has lost, and the pressure on me is huge. If everyone is able to take down Ursa Major Constellation, I will definitely help everyone. I heard that Ling Su has already brought the Holy Maiden of Ursa Major Constellation and escaped to the Ridge of Bear." Eldarin smiled. "We only need to kill them halfway. Who would know that we have broken the alliance agreement? The Star Door is in Alcade City, and Tang Tian has become deranged. Alcade City Lord swore to protect Big Dipper, and both parties engaged in an intense battle. The Holy Maiden escaped, but was chased by Ling Su. When we rushed over, the Holy Maiden was already in danger, and only by killing the thief can we take revenge for the Holy Maiden. Who knows if both sides will suffer heavy losses, and everyone will be able to counterattack and seize back Ursa Major Constellation." Eldarin chuckled. He was extremely calm. "That's right." Eldarin smiled. "Not only did we retreat, I have already written a letter to Jing How about the location of the crack. Although he said that he does not recognize the Martial Group, but since we are from the same root, I do not wish to be enemies with him, and hope that he knows what to do." Eldarin retracted his gaze and muttered to himself, "Spread the word, because I cannot bear to be enemies with Jing Hao," and praised him for his loyalty and righteousness. Xiang was enraged and quarreled with me, and was injured by me by mistake and died. My heart is filled with sorrow, and I blame myself deeply. Remember, bury him, and compensate his family heavily. Chapter 480. Seeing Tang Tian's leaving figure, everyone could not help but reveal a smile. On the treetop not far ahead, a black figure stood quietly. "So painful. I still have to endure this brat." His heart was filled with excitement. Is that the Aries spear of stars? Back at Ursa Major Constellation, Tang Tian met up with Bing. "Everyone do your best." Tang Tian laughed. He raised his arms and cheered, encouraging everyone, then turned and left. Sexton's I had already found the news. Time was pressing. He had to immediately head to Sexton's constellation. The veins on Ling Su's forehead twitched. Mizar City Lord." Wei Weian stuttered, her face filled with fear. Every City Lord's strength was deep and unfathomable. "Hey, I need to use the bandages." He initially thought that he would be able to use it for 8 to 10 years, but who knew that after just one battle, he would become restless, then die. IQ. This ridiculous confidence. Where did you get it from? Bang. Mizar City Lord, who was dressed in black, stared at the 2 people in front of him, his indifferent eyes filled with killing intent. As long as they killed the 2 of them, their goal of killing with a borrowed knife would be completed, and their plan would be half completed. Jing Hao laughed and waved his hand. Let's go, let's go. Don't worry, your wish, little Sue will definitely complete it." Suddenly, he stopped. "We don't need so many people." Bing had a cigarette in his mouth, puffing out smoke. "Bell and Sin will be waiting for us at Sexton's constellation. Godlike young lad, we should leave the manpower to those people with lower IQ. Not everyone is as powerful as you." The hidden injuries in his body, with the help of the energy transformation and Ding Man, were completely safe. Only the silver liquid formed from his spear techniques could not be removed. Even Ding Man did not know what the silver liquid was. She had never heard of silver transformation. but she still relied on her medical martial techniques and helped Ling Su to suppress and seal the silver liquid in his right arm. Although the brat was noisy and annoying, but little Sue would definitely send her to Ursa Major Ridge. As for the pain, oh, it was a familiar feeling. But what if he wanted to turn back and stab them to death with a spear? The honorable martial alliance retreated just like that. It is surprising. Crane looked into the distance. Ling Su lowered his head and continued forward. He mounted the horse and patted Ashue's neck. Then, he turned the horse around and charged in the direction of the aura. The pupils of the Mizar city lord suddenly constricted. With a sharp whistle, his entire body transformed into a black blade aura. A devilish purple color was faintly discernible within the blade aura. There was really no other way. It was too inconvenient to bring this little brat along. Sending her to the Ursa Major Ridge was the right thing to do. I have to be calm and rational, Wei Wei, and spoke halfway. Her eyes opened wide, her face filled with astonishment. Her mouth was stuffed with a cloth. It seemed like his teacher had great foresight in giving him this bandage. The one overseeing Alcade City was Tang Cho. The spirit military general who aspired to become a famous general was brimming with killing intent. It was rare to have the chance to command an army, and Tang Cho obviously wanted to go all out. Ling Su was extremely satisfied with himself for being able to think of such a good idea. Noisy women, no matter how old they were much more terrifying than saints. Big Brother Ling, were you that powerful in the past? Yes, definitely. Ling Su shouted at Wei Wei, and under Wei Wei's dumbstruck gaze, he removed the bandage from her body and slowly wrapped it around his right arm. The sound of the explosion and the afterimage remained behind him. The silver spear did not move an inch. Seems like this path is not so easy to walk on. Crane also laughed out loud and immediately became serious. This kind of fool is used to be looked down upon. He is always able to attract the enemy's firepower and pull down the enemy's wariness and intelligence. That is the reason why we are able to win so many times. That's true. Tang Tian was full of confidence. He waved his hand and said, "Let's leave the manpower to them." The treading snow spirit horse slowed down. After galloping for days and nights, even someone as strong as it would feel tired. Ling Su, who was on the horse, felt Ashue's exhaustion and jumped down. He had an innate affection for mounts. Ling Su did not chase after him. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. The fire in his orange pupils gradually extinguished. "You don't need to test me," Jing Hao said. "I am more familiar with their way of doing things than you are. To recruit your enemies, to kill your own subordinates, they are able to do such a thing. They like to control and always think that they can control you. I reckon that when they return, they will promote my teacher and the rest. They love to make you into a puppet." Chila, Ling Su straightforwardly tore off his sleeves. He extended his hand out to test it, although it was still extremely painful, but it did not affect his movements. "This is the martial arts that I, Ling Su, pursue." Suddenly clamping the horse's abdomen, Ashue, who was breathing heavily, suddenly exerted strength in his four limbs. The vision in front of him suddenly became blurry. The scenery quickly retreated. Bang! As though he had broken free from something, his entire body felt light. "If I am wrong, then there is nothing I can do." Ling Su's eyes twitched. His entire arm felt as though it was pierced by countless of silver needles. The tyranny of the silver liquid was beyond his imagination. Even the medical saint's seal could only make it hibernate for a short period of time. Jing Hao retracted his gaze. His light body technique was not good. It was almost impossible for him to catch up to Ling Su. Truly valiant. Ashue soared into the sky, the silver spear in his hand spinning, transforming into a silver aura, flying towards the Mizar city lord. He did not say the word "stabbed to death." He suddenly remembered, this fellow could not be stabbed to death. Asshole, how can there be such a person in this world? Yaya was like a piece of jelly, lying down on Tang Tian's left shoulder, yawning from time to time. Little fool held on to his umbrella, blankly floating above his right shoulder. "Then I will have to trouble you." Crane bowed slightly, turned, and held onto his sword. He soared into the sky. Like a big black crane, he disappeared into the horizon. Chi! A stream of blood burst out from his arm. He groaned, his face changing. A thread of silver liquid mixed in his blood. It was extremely strange. The unbearable poison was spreading throughout his arm. Bang! This time, Ling Su's reprimand caused Wei Wei to immediately calm down. She could hear the killing intent in Ling Su's tone. She felt the world spinning. Ling Su flipped up the horse. Teacher, if you're going to receive a favor or something, please pick someone who's quieter. Also, they always like to look down on people. Jing Hao laughed out loud. Especially Crazy Tang, this kind of fool. Suddenly, Ling Su found a new rope and tied Wei Wei up. Hey, I'm really leaving, Tang Tian shouted. Everyone looked at each other and laughed. Big brother Ling. You go, Jing Hao said. There are enough people here, don't worry. This crazy thought made Ling Su feel as though the blood in his body was boiling. The fighting intent that caused people to tremble surged. His silver hair fluttered, dancing in the wind, like a burning silver flame. Did I say something that you don't like? I said you have to tell me. You have to tell me. I really did not do it on purpose, big brother Ling. Truly a naive fellow. Crane was filled with emotions. Such a fellow. How did he end up where he is today? Looking up, Ling Su's orange eyes lit up with flames. He patted Ah Shue's neck. He could feel Ah Shue's fighting intent, and his mouth revealed a sharp arc. He clenched his teeth, his orange eyes like a wasteland filled with flames. The light aura from the battle had revealed their location. Pai Pa and Han Tao looked at each other, understanding the meaning in each other's eyes. He suddenly turned his head to look into the distance. At a place not far away, there was a faintly discernible chi that was quickly approaching them. The spear tip and blade aura fiercely clashed. All right, let's do it. Silence. 2 minutes of silence. Wei Wei spoke up. Big brother Ling, what's wrong? What the hell are you? Wei Wei, who only revealed her head, was chattering nonstop. She had struggled free from the fear and had regained her usual liveliness. Ling Su's face turned black. With every sentence Wei Wei spoke, his face turned even darker. It's not just one person, that's right. How can it be just one person? System. One. Spear. Chi. Death. The space around the spear tip suddenly became dark. The silver aura became even more dazzling and bright, like a star. Big brother laying her arm. Wei Wei's face was filled with worry. So painful. Ling Su finally could not take it anymore. Shut up. If you continue to be so long-winded. Just the two of us. Tang Tian was surprised. Shouldn't we bring more people? A saint? Crane chuckled. Seems like his hard work is going to go to waste. Can you please hurry up? Crane said helplessly. Without you dragging us down, we will definitely be more successful. You're truly unwilling to stay dormant? I suspect that the Honorable Martial Alliance's scheme is Ling Su. Crane sighed. One fool is helpless, but if you have two fools by your side, then you'll be exhausted. Big brother Ling woo-woo. Shut up. Teacher, that imprint is right. But the two of them tactfully did not say anything. They had a premonition that Sexton's constellation was about to meet with misfortune. The world is finally peaceful. I need to leave quickly. Alcade City's strength was truly sufficient. How could they allow others to sleep soundly on their side beds? The current Ursa major constellation was no longer a nobody. The other 6 cities did not have any intention of surrendering. So the method was simple. The large army was pressuring the borders. Big brother Ling, where were you in the past? Wei Wei covered her mouth, her eyes looking at Ling Su's right arm in fear. The arm was actually completely silver white, with a metallic luster, as though it was made entirely out of silver. The silver metal arm was stained with blood, which brought about a bewitching beauty. Ling Su's face was downcast, his eyes rolled back, and he weakly walked forward. So noisy. The dazzling light aura immediately exploded out, like a sun exploding. Amidst the mournful screams, Mizar City Lord was like an injured black bat. He left in a panic. Half of his body was soaked in blood. Ling Su muttered in his heart and slowly wrapped his arm. His movements were skilled. The bandages covered his entire arm. Even his 5 fingers were completely wrapped, and finally he used his teeth to help tie a knot. Bending his knees, he shot into the sky like a rocket. Mizar City, Lord who was dressed in black, was like a black bat blocking the sunlight. The so-called pure heart is this. Jing Hao laughed. Chapter 481. Not only that, Bell said, in our investigations, we realized that the strength of the Tsang-Yang fighting grounds is much stronger than what we imagined. Other than the 3 saints, the Tsang-Yang fighting grounds has 16 gold-ranked martial artists. This strength is even stronger than many of the Equatorial Palace Hall constellations. Where did they go? Ling Su muttered to himself. Why would they run? I haven't poked them yet. Xin Yu saw Tang Tian and Bing coming over, and was dumbstruck and asked, Your Majesty, you and Master Bing came over first? Where are the other masters? So powerful. Tang Tian's mouth was wide open. His face was filled with shock. The journey was not lonely, and time flew by quickly. After shouting for half a day, the wind was still the same, the forest was still the same, the crows were still the same. Ling Su was dumbstruck. Belle looked at the group of people speechlessly, but she was already used to Tang Tian's unreliable style, and had seen things that were even more unreliable than this. She had seen it all before. Big Brother Ling actually has no sense of direction. Aren't you guys chasing after me? Here. I'm here. The saint is here. All saints? So powerful? Tang Tian's eyes were wide open. He was surprised. A weird undulation? Bing suddenly turned his face. Little Fool had become Tang Tian's new toy for the past few days. But Xin Yu still wanted to dissuade him. Yes, Xin Yu explained. It has been around for about 4 months. Master also knows Sexton's constellation produces all sorts of detection-type star treasures, and many people have found this undulation. But everyone thought that someone from the Tsang-Yang fighting grounds was going to be bestowed as a saint, and after that, there was no movement, but every half a month, there would be one. This subordinate was thinking, could this weird undulation be related to the Sexton's eye that your Majesty spoke of? Xin Yu immediately replied, this subordinate is doing his job and does not dare to claim credit. Now we can find out very little, and only know that the Sexton's eye is in Tsang-Yang Yu's hands, and we can't even find out what the use of this treasure is. But there's one thing that is weird. Every half a month, the Tsang-Yang fighting grounds will have a weird undulation. Let him go, Bing suddenly said. He has a way to protect himself. Ling Su didn't know what it felt like to be at the end of the road, but he knew what it felt like to be lost. A furious roar resounded in the depths of the forest, startling countless crows. Sir, the Tsang-Yang Marshall Field security is extremely tight. As far as I know, there are several people in the Tsang-Yang Marshall Field who have detection artifacts. A few days ago, when we were preparing to sneak in, an Onyx Soul Scout tried to sneak in, but before he could even get halfway, he was killed. Xin Yu recalled the scene that night, and still had some lingering fear. He looked around. 1 tree, 2 trees, tree. That sense of complacency also penetrated deep into his bones. What's the problem? Bing noticed the expression on Xin Yu's face, flicked his cigarette, and asked. The two of them were like 2 wisps of smoke, extremely fast, flying towards Ursa Major Ridge. Little Fool was good at controlling energy. It was born with the ability to attract and gather energy. For example, when Tang Tian crushed a star rock, the energy that floated out could be controlled by Little Fool. Little Fool's precise control over energy made Tang Tian feel that it was inconceivable. It could even guide the energy around Tang Tian's meridians and Dantian. And when Tang Tian brandished his fists, it could even simulate the fist aura. Stop talking nonsense. Quickly chase. Mizar City Lord said coldly. Xin Yu's expression froze. After a while, he forced himself to say, Your Majesty must be joking. Your Majesty's identity is respected. At the place where Ling Su and Mizar City Lord fought, 2 figures appeared. Mizar City Lord was one of them. His clothes were stained with blood, and his face was pale white. Same? What is that? Tang Tian did not understand. Wei Wei, and who had witnessed the entire process, closed her eyes in despair. She suddenly suspected, could she truly return to Ursa Major Ridge? That is not a good idea. Bell was more direct. There are many scouts around. If there is any movement, we will be exposed. And the opponent has 3 saints. Song Yangyu's strength is still unknown. There are also many gold-ranked martial artists. If we were to fight, we do not have much of an advantage. From the Hoof Prince, he went back. Yuheng City Lord was surprised. Once, Xin Yu replied, subconsciously, the situation is more complicated. Bell, as a professional intelligence officer, immediately displayed her experienced style. Sexton's Eye is in the hands of Songyang Fighting Grounds Song Yang. It is his collection. Songyang Fighting Grounds is Sexton's constellation's biggest fighting grounds. Song Yang is extremely low profile. No one knows how strong he is. In this aspect, Master Tsin has more authority. That's right, Your Majesty. Why don't I send a disciple to infiltrate Songyang Fighting Grounds? Xin Yu immediately said, every year at this time, Songyang Fighting Grounds opens their doors to recruit disciples. Songyang Fighting Grounds has a good point. They do not oppose disciples from other fighting grounds entering. Like our fighting grounds, every year we can obtain a certain number of guaranteed quotas. This is also the most important source of income for many small fighting grounds, and these quotas are worth a lot of money. That is a brilliant method. Bing could not help but praise. His zero-energy body could no longer be improved, and his martial spirit was already pure enough to become a small fool. As for how to train next, he had no idea. Towards Tang Tian's worries, Bing irresponsibly told him to let nature take its course. Explain the situation. Bing puffed out a smoke ring. Only then did Xin Yu feel the chill on his back disappear, and he heaved a sigh of relief. He also felt that it was weird. Master Bing's strength was obviously very ordinary. Why did he make him so nervous? Haha. As expected, you have good eyesight. Tang Tian praised Xin Yu. Xin Yu's face congealed as he nodded his head. One sect with 3 saints, no other fighting grounds would dare to challenge Songyang Fighting Grounds, with 3 saints overseeing it. Who would be blind? Not only the fighting grounds, even the entire Sexton's constellation, with 3 saints overseeing it, has always been a place where no bandits can be found. Even when martial artists from other places come, they do not dare to be too impudent. Because of that, Songyang Fighting Grounds' prestige in Sexton Constellation is extremely high. Songyang Fighting Grounds rules are also the strictest out of all the fighting grounds. There was once a disciple who committed the crime of adultery and was personally beheaded by Fu Zhongshan. Wei Wei, and who was on his back, had a cloth stuffed in her mouth. Her expression extremely strange. Just the 2 of us. Tang Tian saw that Xin Yu was hesitant to speak and stared at him. You think we can't do it? Also, I can change my face. The muscles on Tang Tian's face squirmed and very quickly changed into a completely foreign face, without any flaws. That's possible. Bing nodded his head slowly. A strange look flashed past his eyes. Hey, where are you guys? Bing was puffing out smoke at the side, giving off a dense in-chi. Coward. Coward. Trash. People who are investigating like us. Bell's face congealed. Some are from Onyx Soul, and some are from the Honorable Martial Alliance. Their target is most likely Sexton's Eye, because recently there are people secretly inquiring about Sexton's Eye. If not for Master Tsin, it would be hard for us to find out about all these things. To actually injure you with 1 spear, this fellow's strength is not weak. The one who spoke was City Lord Yuheng. He looked to be around 30 years old. His skin was white. He was handsome and at ease. His mouth had an evil smile. Xin Yu muttered. Normally, the competition between the fighting grounds is intense. Challenging the grounds to become famous is a common occurrence. Only this Songyang Fighting Grounds never fights with others. The reason why the Songyang Fighting Grounds is known as the #1 of Sexton's constellation is because of Songyang Yu's 3 disciples. The first disciple, Fu Zhongshan, the second disciple, Yang Hao Ran, and the third disciple, Li Ruo. They're all saints. Of course, all these simulations were fake, and did not have any practical use. Just as Tang Tian was preparing to sneak into the Song Yang fighting grounds, Ling Su was bitterly searching in the forest. City Lord Yu Hong laughed out loud. Seems like a situation is not good. To actually use such a shallow and stupid plan, his naivety is surprising. I can smell that he is at the end of the road. Xin Yu's back turned cold, and immediately said with a righteous face, "What this subordinate means is, Your Majesty and Master Bing alone is enough. 2 people, it is double insurance. Come out. If you are a man, come and fight to the death. Asshole, how can you all be so stupid?" Bing glanced at him, puffed out a smoke ring, and praised, "A very practical little technique, but your ugliness has already penetrated deep into your bones." Deliberately setting up a diversion, Mizar City Lord said coldly, "He is also injured, and wants to use this to delay time." "I'm not joking." Tang Tian shook his head. "How many times does the Song Yang fighting grounds open their doors to recruit disciples every year?" Luckily, Little Fool was slow-witted. No matter how Tang Tian tormented him, he did not have much of a reaction. But it was a pity that he did not have much progress, but he had some small tricks up his sleeves. After playing for a while, Tang Tian lost interest and started to torment Little Fool's other methods. Little Fool was very stupid, to the extent of being slow-witted, causing Tang Tian to feel helpless. Often, when Tang Tian had an idea, he would excitedly say a bunch of things, and Little Fool would look at him in a daze, completely not understanding. The muscles on Tang Tian's face kept on changing, and in the blink of an eye, it became an unfamiliar face. On the way, Tang Tian had been trying hard to communicate with Little Fool. He was too envious of the spirit domain. Having a spirit domain meant that there was a possibility of improving. Other than that, Tang Tian could not think of any good ideas. Other than Little Fool, the zero-energy body also had other advantages. Other than having a strong physique, Tang Tian's control of his body was extremely precise. Bell added, Song Yang fighting grounds used this method. It was equivalent to indirectly controlling the various fighting grounds, and from there, control Sexton's constellation. If we fail this time, doesn't that mean we won't have a chance to enter again? Tang Tian shook his head like a rattle drum. No, I want to go in. The more we investigate, the more we realize that Song Yang Yu is unfathomable. Bell glanced at Tang Tian. Also, we discovered many of the same people. To offend the 2 biggest people in one go, that was not something I and you would do. Hey, uncle, quickly look. Should we sneak in at night? Tang Tian was excited. There were so many clues on the first day, it was a good sign. Xin Yu revealed a difficult look. It seemed to be here just now. He was unsure. Anger flashed past Mizar City Lord's eyes, and he said coldly, "You will know after you try it." "I don't want anyone else. I'll go," Tang Tian said without hesitation. Chapter 482. As expected of a glutton, even after eating so many of his spirit cards, there was no change. Even after absorbing a few strands of cold waves, there was still no change on his blank face. Walking down the carriage, the cold air caused Tang Tian's spirit to be roused. Xiao Ming-chi was a chatterbox. Once he started talking, he could not stop. But with such a person on the road, it was much easier. Xin Yu's spirit was roused. Don't worry, the standard for inner fighting grounds disciples is the strength of a pseudo-gold rank martial artist. And if you have the strength of a gold rank martial artist, you will definitely be able to enter the fighting grounds. With leader's strength, entering the fighting grounds is a sure thing. If the speed of the true power was not fast enough, it would entangle with the true power. Xin Yu looked at her and shook his head. No, it went smoothly. When I become a gold-ranked martial artist, I will go back and marry Ajiao. Thank you. Xin Yu saw a few more people coming and knew that they would be overwhelmed. Whoa, I have never been to a place with so much snow. Tang Tian followed the flow of people and entered the carriage. He casually found a seat and sat down. His physique is not bad. Everything will be the same. Fu Zhongshan muttered. The more it is at this time, the more we cannot be chaotic. And now, he was an overlord, with the power of life and death in his hands. Other than Little Crane and a few others, everyone else in front of him would restrain themselves and be careful. And for a good child like Hand Towel, who emphasized on etiquette, he was even more rigid, causing people to be annoyed. Bai Cho. It was a disciple of the Fighting Grounds who sized up Tang Tian and blurted out, "This name really suits the person." Sinyu walked back, and not long later, he met with Belle. Belle saw Sinyu's gloomy face and was startled. Did something happen? Junior brother is wrong. The junior brother saw his senior brother's face and immediately begged for mercy. He also knew that he said the wrong thing today and immediately changed the topic. "Senior brother, what should we do with this Bai Cho?" Onertson said that his talent is good. With his strength, is talent good? I took a look at his true power. It has not even reached the 8th level, only the 6th level. I can't even sense his bloodline. I really don't know what to say about his talent. Fu Zhongshan had a square face. His complexion was red, his eyebrows were thick like blades, his figure was tall, and the matters of the Songyang Fighting Grounds were basically managed by him. Naturally, he had a natural, imposing manner. Yang Haoran also nodded. He thought for a moment and said, "Those fellows with ulterior motives will definitely think of ways to approach the back mountain. If that's the case, the only way is to sneak into the inner Fighting Grounds. If we focus our attention on these people, our target will be much smaller." The disciple's heart moved. He quietly activated his true power, and the speed of his feet gradually increased. The team, which was originally quite thick, was immediately stretched thin. But what Tang Tian did not expect was that little fool seemed to like the cold wave. It purposely moved its true power slowly, attracting the cold wave to corrode, and then it absorbed the cold wave into its body. Would this guy get stomachache? "Everyone, follow me," the disciple shouted. "The training field is more than 800 miles away from here. We have to get there on foot. Everyone follow closely. Remember, no matter what, you have to maintain the circulation of true power. This is the ancient cold snow plains. The air here is filled with cold waves, and the cold waves can corrode your true power. Once your true power is completely corroded, you will immediately become an ice sculpture, and even the gods will not be able to save you." Tang Tian took a look. It was a disciple of the Fighting Grounds. The surrounding people followed. Upon seeing that, Tang Tian hurriedly followed. Very quickly, the disciple brought them to a carriage and shouted, "Everyone go up. Find a seat for yourselves." "Your Majesty." Acho does not know. Sinyu almost bit his tongue off. He almost exposed himself. And calling the Majesty Cho, "Was it really all right? Then we will bring him in. Groundmaster, please do what you need to do." The disciple said. Sinyu did not dare to look at Tang Tian's face, but in his heart, he could not wait to personally kill the person who said a person is like his name, but on his face he could only force a smile. "Cho is my distant nephew. His heart is dedicated to martial arts. His talent is not bad. I do not want him to waste, so I might as well send him to your training field. I hope Masterly can guide him." Xiao Ming-chi noticed Tang Tian's abnormality and exclaimed, "Your body is so good." Hao Ran is right. Fu Zhongshan nodded. "Everyone be careful. How could he say that Cho was like his name? So useless, my dream, is to become a saint, truly like his name." Tang Tian immediately lost interest in little fool, a glutton who only eats and does not defecate. What meaning does he have to exist? But after staring at him for half a day, he did not have any change. The surrounding group of youths, all of them were enthusiastically discussing. This feeling made Tang Tian feel fresh. He could not help but think of Andrew Academy, but at that time he was the school tyrant, and not many people were willing to interact with him, so he was not part of the crowd. "Junior brother, shut up." Another disciple immediately stopped him and bowed to Sinyu. "I did not expect Grounds Headson to personally send someone over. Sorry for my rudeness. Junior brother is not sensible. Grounds Head, please forgive him." The carriage flew for a few hours, but had not reached their destination. Tang Tian was surprised. "Where are we going? Is the Songyang Fighting Grounds so big?" In this place, no one fawned on him, and everyone was discussing about simple matters. "Nonsense." The senior brother stared at him. Grounds Hedson is also a famous teacher. With his relationship with Master, you better be careful not to get punished. Xiao Ming-Chi's topic attracted a large group of disciples, and everyone had a face of curiosity. The young man's heart was in turmoil, but he suppressed it on his face and introduced himself. Let me get to know each other. I am Xiao Ming-Chi. You actually dare to look down on me. Squeezing out a bloody path from a sea of people, even someone as strong as Tang Tian looked battered and exhausted, and said in surprise, "Wah, there are so many people." The Fighting Grounds disciple's eyes revealed a look of joy. His gaze swept across Tang Tian's small body. It was extremely fiery. "All right, then I will directly send him to the outer Fighting Grounds." The junior brother said, "Please don't brag. You are still a saint. If you can become a gold-ranked martial artist, then you should burn incense and pray to Buddha." The slightly older disciple immediately said, "Since Grounds Head sent it, then there is no need for him to say anything. Just that, the Fighting Grounds is in a mess today. Master has no time to entertain Grounds Head. Please forgive him." Get off, get off." The Fighting Grounds disciple's loud voice woke Tang Tian up from his dream. The three of them discussed for a while, then left. Tang Tian stayed in the middle of the group and was very relaxed. There were many probing-type star treasures, and from time to time, there would be waves sweeping past. Bing was worried that he would be seen through, so he stayed in the martial spirit chamber with Yaya. "It's nothing, nothing." Sun Yu immediately laughed. All the disciples' faces changed and anxiously revolved their true power. He had also learned his lesson and followed Bell to call him leader. Xiao Ming-Chi became even more excited and talked nonstop. But on the other hand, Tang Tian was initially interested, but after listening, he fell asleep. He opened his eyes in a daze and looked outside the window, which was a vast expanse of white and boundless snow plains. Bell heard that and immediately calmed down. Crazy Saint Tang had been killed. Entering the Fighting Grounds was definitely not a problem. "Me?" Tang Tian pointed to his own face. Seeing the other party nodding, he replied, "I am Bai Ah Cho." His heart was beating like a drum, but he patiently introduced, "Sangyang Fighting Grounds is Sexton's Constellation's biggest fighting grounds, and also has a saint overseeing it. It only recruits once a year, and many people come because of its reputation." The young man beside him glanced at Tang Tian and was shocked by Tang Tian's appearance. After a while he asked, "How do I address this brother?" Xiao Ming-Chi saw Tang Tian's surprised look and became even more excited. "Of course. Sangyang Fighting Grounds has only been established for a few decades, but its development is extremely ferocious and is definitely unprecedented. The entire Sexton's Constellation is under the control of our Fighting Grounds." With regards to our Groundmaster's background, there are many theories. Some say that he is a descendant of the ancient Sex. Some say that he is from one of the 12 ecliptic palaces and has a strong backing. Our Fighting Grounds, from the establishment until now, has never had anyone find trouble with us. Don't you think it's weird? Hearing these words that did not have much substance but were filled with vigor, Tang Tian's heart was moved. This is youth. But Tang Tian's speed was actually not lagging behind and was still calm and composed. "Do you want to tell Master?" his junior brother asked. "So powerful?" Tang Tian was surprised. The disciples of the Fighting Grounds had long noticed Tang Tian's abnormality. Everyone were using light body techniques, using qi to fly. Only Tang Tian was alone, spreading his legs and sprinting. Oh, he was still using light body techniques, basic light body techniques. Suddenly a voice came out. "All right, stop quarreling. All of you follow me." Tang Tian was also shocked, but after checking once, he calmed down. The true power in his body was simulated by Little Fool. But Tang Tian also felt that the cold wave that the disciples were talking about was a thread of extremely fine, transparent energy. This energy was different from all the energy that Tang Tian had seen before. It was extremely cold and had some characteristics of poison. His junior brother was embarrassed. He is truly ugly to the point that people cannot help themselves. Hearing that, Xiao Ming-Chi said proudly, "That's true. Our Sangyang Fighting Grounds is the strongest fighting grounds in the entire Sextans constellation, naturally the largest scale. All of the training grounds and Songyang fighting grounds added together, the area is bigger than a small planet. Do you think it's big or not? Li Ruo looked at Fu Zhongshan and said worriedly, Big brother, this matter is not simple. Many people are watching us. Are we still accepting disciples this year? There will definitely be many people sneaking in. No need. Master has many things to worry about recently. Let's not go and disturb him. We will keep an eye on him. If Bai Chao's talent is truly good, then we will focus on grooming him. The senior brother thought and said, but Bai Chao did not fall behind. I heard that the disciples are separated into the inner and outer fighting grounds. Can leader enter the inner fighting grounds? Bell asked. Junior brother is too impetuous today. The slightly older senior brother sternly criticized the junior brother, who teased Tang Tian. The senior brother had used his star treasure to scan Tang Tian and knew that his junior brother was not lying and could not help but frown. We can only arrange for him to go to the outer fighting grounds. If he is at the 8th level, even if he does not have the strength of a gold rank, we can still think of a way to arrange for him to go to the inner fighting grounds. If he is at the 6th level and does not have any blood meridians, then he can only go to the outer fighting grounds. Chapter 483. Also, before he finished, his figure disappeared from the spot. The timid one's legs softened and they fell to the ground. Mu Lao San said, Without me, how can you teach them a good lesson? Xiao Mingqi was already regretting to the point his intestines turned green. He had originally decided not to say anything, but upon meeting Tang Tian's cold gaze, his heart shuddered and he said, Every year, the snow plains will have a large-scale cold wave. At this time, some special places need to be guarded. That is the cold wave service. Cold wave service, 5 out of 10 die. Do not expose your strength. Mu Lao San laughed. You were not convinced at the start. What to do? Li Liang Xiu's gaze swept across the crowd and said indifferently, Xiao Jin, tell them the rules. Xiao Mingqi glanced at Tang Tian with difficulty. Tang Tian was completely bare at the moment, dragging a large bundle of ropes. At the end of each rope was an unconscious martial artist. The leading martial artist was full of praise for Chao's beast-like body. This guy simply could not run to death. Everyone stopped in their tracks, their expressions blank. The leading Songyang disciple had a trace of surprise on his face. How did this guy find out? But he did not make a sound. He did not remind or make a sound. He could not afford to offend Li Liang Xiu. The leading martial artist saw Tang Tian smile, and his heart turned cold. He quickly said, Only use your fists and feet. You cannot use weapons. If you kill someone, they will die. Do not fall behind. Everyone stood up. Everyone's gazes looked at their boss, who was playing with the snow squirrel. The dense crowd of figures on the mountain instantly caused a wave of exclamations. Everyone emitted a strong aura, filled with a suffocating pressure. The sky seemed to darken. Xiao Jin, look at you. You only know how to bully rookies. You really have no ambition. The person who spoke was tall, holding a long and thin curved blade in his hand. He had a disdainful smile on his face. Tang Tian did not think so much. To him, this was a very normal action. He felt it was a pity that these people died on the way. But as time passed, no one laughed at this guy anymore. I did not expect an expert to come, Mu Lao San said with a smile. The cold wave is quite scary, but that's a matter for the future. Maybe there won't be a great cold wave. It's fine if you don't want to sign. The cultivation camp 30 li away has nothing to do with you. Oh, if anyone is willing to turn back now, we won't make things difficult for them. Suddenly, Tang Tian sensed that something was amiss, and he immediately became vigilant. His figure stopped abruptly, and he shouted in a stern voice, Stop! There's an ambush ahead. Everyone, don't fill in. Xiao Mingqi's expression changed, and he subconsciously blurted out. When he came to his senses, his face immediately turned pale. Pretend that I don't know anything and get beaten up by these guys? This thought was the first to be tossed out of Tang Tian's mind. These fellows were obviously not good people. When he was in school, the senior students often liked to bully the new students in the name of educating them. Ah Cho glanced at him and only said 2 words, "Don't." Everyone behind the mountain looked at each other in dismay. They had no idea how they had been discovered. "Forget it, Mu Lao-san," someone shouted. "It's the same with or without you. Which battle is decided by you." "Che, Mu Lao-san, don't you like it? Why don't you go?" Xiao Jin retorted. Every year, they would prepare a surprise attack to educate the newcomers. This was the traditional program of the Snowfield cultivation camp. They were stationed here and were usually bored to death. Towards this kind of program that teased the newcomers, they were naturally enthusiastic. Also, the problem of the cold wave was Li Liangqiu's biggest headache. But this method could perfectly solve this problem. After continuously dragging for 200 li, his stamina was greatly exhausted and his breathing became heavy. But he still encouraged loudly, "We're almost there. Everyone, persevere a bit more." At that time, Xiao Mingqi was still thinking it's fine if he's ugly, but he likes to show off, and his performance is so clumsy. Is this guy an idiot? The others were also like that. Many of them couldn't help but roll their eyes. This guy doesn't just look ugly. His brain isn't too good either. When the newcomers faced the sneak attack of the Sanyang disciples who had deep strength and great teamwork, of course they would be defeated. But last year was an exception. There was a very strong disciple among the newcomers, called One Run by E. In the end, they spent a lot of effort to win that battle. They really were a bunch of villains. "Let's go." Li Liangqiu didn't even look at these people's expressions and said indifferently. Tang Tian's gaze landed on Xiao Mingqi. "What is the cold wave?" No one had any enmity towards Ah Cho. Tang Tian's action made everyone feel a thread of warmth in this world of ice and snow. Everyone thought in their hearts, even if they fainted, they wouldn't be abandoned. At the start, when Ah Cho suddenly shouted to encourage everyone, everyone was very shocked. "Godlike young man, charge forward, charge forward." You don't need to help them. This kind of trash doesn't have the qualifications to enter the cultivation camp. Just let them die on the road. Tang Tian ignored the leading martial artist, killing intent boiling in his chest. He nodded his head. "That's right." In a long line, heavy breathing could be heard. All of the martial artists' faces were not good. While revolving true power to resist the cold wave, and at the same time unleashing light body techniques, to them, it was definitely not an easy task. After that, he dragged the unconscious martial artist and sprinted. Xiao Jin grinned and held a lot of paper in his hand. A wise man submits to circumstances. "Come to me and get an application form for volunteering to serve the cold tide. Write down your name, and we won't hurt each other's friendship." Everyone's fighting intense sword, and they all stood up. Whether you're a senior or not is not something that comes from your mouth. It is all taught by your fists. Li Liangqiu did not even raise his head and said coldly, "How much respect they have for you will depend on how deep you have taught them. Don't be like last year, where you almost lost face. Persevere to the end, and that is victory." The martial artists beside Tang Tian all had pale faces, their eyes revealing despair. "I never thought that Songyang fighting grounds would be like this." Tang Tian's gaze became colder and colder. "All of you people, even your hearts are black." They did not have the strength to laugh. Ah Chow's encouragement was not exciting at all, but when they were exhausted, it would always make them clench their teeth and persevere. Seeing everyone's passionate atmosphere, the leading young master's mouth curled into a cold, arrogant smile. He lowered his head, minding his own business, playing with a snow-white squirrel in his hands. He was the leader of the group, Li Liangqiu. His identity was noble. He was the son of one of the 3 saints, Li Ruo, and his strength was unfathomable. His face was strangely similar. On his naked body, perspiration meandered like a stream, mist rising, every muscle was like a steel wire trembling. The current Tang Tian was like a moving sculpture, brimming with an intense visual impact and strength of beauty. Li Liangqiu did not go, and when he returned, he was enraged. Xiao Jin and the rest were all taught a lesson by him. A figure flashed past and said excitedly, "They are here. They are still 20 li away." All the martial artists' faces changed. "Everyone do your best. A tinge of respect flashed past Xiao Ming-Chi's eyes. The conversation between the leading Songyang disciple and Tang Tian, they had clearly heard it. Tang Tian's gaze landed on the unconscious martial artists and saw the leading martial artist who was sitting at the side. Inexplicably, a tinge of anger surged in his heart. They brought their dreams and longing and spent so much effort to come here, but you people actually used their dreams and longing to threaten them. Xiao Jin whistled. Yo, here comes a ruthless character. Rookies, why, are you still not convinced? When everyone is in trouble, you must help everyone. By Ah Chao's encouragement could be heard from time to time. Songyang fighting grounds is like this? Haha, everywhere is like this. Xiao Jin's face revealed a look of disdain. Whoever has the bigger fist is the king, understand? Ugly ghost. Li Liang Qiu, bringing up the past again, instantly made these people feel ashamed. The opponent had a total of 12 people. 2 of them were gold-ranked martial artists, and the rest were pseudo-gold-ranked martial artists. This kind of strength, to others, might be somewhat fearful, but to Tang Tian, it was a piece of cake. Uncle Bing was right. It was not a problem to settle these people. But if he did, then his own strength would be exposed, and even an idiot would know that he had another motive for sneaking in. The martial artists who could still stand all gathered around Tang Tian. All of their faces were filled with hatred for the enemy. Tang Tian clenched his fists, stared at Li Liang Qiu and the rest with an unkind expression, and said, Everyone who can still fight. His entire body was perspiring, his muscles bulging. He was dragging 7 people. The last sentence immediately made countless people blush. Every year at this time, it is always the time that I look forward to the most. Educating the newbies is the duty of us seniors. The man who spoke had a head full of golden hair. His face had an evil smile. He wore a white cloak and had a heroic aura. Bing muttered softly in Tang Tian's heart and forcefully stopped Tang Tian from rushing forward. Li Liang Qiu's background made the training camp turn a blind eye to this. Interesting. Li Liang Qiu's eyes flashed a glimmer of light and said proudly, Then everyone go out and greet the newbies. Li Liang Qiu was young. His strength was outstanding, adding that his backing was strong enough. In this snow plains, very few people dare to go against him. Hey, if you guys don't come out, I won't be polite to you guys. Tang Tan pointed to the empty mountain top in front of him, opened his eyes wide, and said in a deep voice, But Tang Tian grinned. It was extremely ugly, but filled with killing intent. How do you know that your fist is bigger? Xiao Ming-Chi clenched his teeth and endured. His mind was starting to turn numb. Only Bai Ah Chao's voice made his mind numb. There was a focal point, reminding him to endure. Chapter 484. The escaping martial artist was scared out of his wits. He instinctively unleashed his defensive martial technique, and a blue light shield appeared behind him. Li Liang Qiu's face was distorted under Tang Tian's torrential attacks. He was in imminent danger. Little fool who was holding onto the star's umbrella flew out of Tang Tian's body like a wisp of smoke. The star's umbrella in his hand spun, and countless stars fell down, transforming into an indeterminate light sand, flying towards the martial artists who were preparing to escape. Yaya's small fist that was enveloped in darkness struck the light shield, but without any sound, the darkness swallowed and pierced through the light shield. Yaya's pitifully small fist struck the opponent's back, looking extremely comical. Xiao Jin's body trembled. He suddenly opened his eyes wide, his pupils instantly filled with fear and despair. The curved blade in his hand, although it was not a gold treasure, but it was not an ordinary item. It was an ecliptic-grade silver treasure, Pisces constellations, arched fin. Collapse symbol technique. Yaya somersaulted to the ground, and with a howl, he fiercely stomped on the ground, and like a cannonball, he disappeared into the air. In the next moment, he appeared behind one of the escaping martial artists, puffed up his cheeks, and punched out with his small fist. Why? He was only regretting that he did not send out a distress signal. The fist struck Li Liang Qiu's heart without any fancy moves. The surging power, entered Li Liangqiu's body. Li Liangqiu's body trembled. His hair was disheveled. His face was covered in blood. He stared blankly at Tang Tian, as though he could not believe the result. An explosive sound like frying beans came out from the net of blade auras. Mu Lao San's smile froze on his face. A cold and somewhat mocking voice suddenly exploded in his ears. Seeking death. Mu Lao San's frightened voice had not finished when Tang Tian borrowed the reverse force of the collision. The tip of his feet touched the ground. Pa! The snow on the ground suddenly exploded. In the sky full of snow, Tang Tian's figure turned, leaving behind layers of afterimages, pouncing towards Mu Lao San. Little Fool's starlight sand was like a swarm of beautiful fireflies, silently entering the bodies of the martial artists. Pa! 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 The bodies of the martial artists burst like balloons. Tang Tian stared at the fallen Li Liangqiu. The anger on his face had already faded, leaving behind only determination and fortitude. He enunciated each word, nailing the wind and snow that filled the sky. The figure in front of him disappeared into thin air. Xiao Jin's hair suddenly stood on end. An unprecedented feeling of danger instantly enveloped him. Crack! His arms broke. Bing immediately felt that something was wrong with Tang Tian and anxiously reminded him, "Young lad, calm down." Ding Chun was the leader of the martial artists. His face was pale, without a trace of blood. He knew that this matter had blown up. Baiacho was definitely not a normal person. He definitely had other motives for committing himself here. If Li Liangqiu were to die here, the consequences would be unimaginable. To the entire Song Yang fighting field, it would be like an earthquake. A nobody like him would definitely be turned into ashes. The densely packed blade auras immediately enveloped by Cho tightly. The blade auras were like fishes swimming in the water, extremely agile and pervasive. When Bing came out, he did not join in the battle. Instead, he monitored the group of new disciples to prevent anyone from escaping. With Crazy Tang's strength, he did not even need his help to deal with this group of people. Such a congealed sword aura that could pierce through steel upon meeting the opponent's fist was like a wave hitting a reef, instantly shattering. Li Liangqiu realized that he could not free his hands to send out a distress signal. Bing scolded in exasperation. At this time, he knew that the situation could not be salvaged. Bing and Yaya flew out from Tang Tian's body at the same time. His hands trembled, and he requested for help. He knew that it was truly dangerous this time. He saw a figure from the corner of his eye and was elated. He bellowed. Ding Chun quickly asked for help. A dazzling demonic blade aura suddenly lit up in front of Tang Tian. Whenever he used this technique, he had never failed before. And this time, he used all the true power in his body without hesitation. The surging true power surged into the curved blade. Will I die? Ding Chun trembled, but the spirit general was like a suffocating shadow, completely enveloping him. He did not even have the strength to move a finger. Li Liangqiu's hands and feet were ice cold. He knew that he had kicked an iron board. He forced himself to calm down. Sire, this is a misunderstanding. I am willing to compensate, regardless of the conditions. A sword appeared in Li Liangqiu's hand. The sword tip swallowed and spat out cold aura. A sharp piercing sound pierced through the air. The explosive rain of sharp sword auras shot towards Tang Tian. He did not use his killing technique. Just now, Mu Lao San's killing technique had already made him understand that the opponent's strength was far beyond his imagination. But the more he fought, the more fearful he became. The opponent did not even use true power and was able to completely suppress him. In this world, how could there be such a terrifying person? Pa pa pa. His sword aura expanded crazily. He did not care about the price as he activated his true power. The power of every fist was surging and surging. Like a blacksmith swinging a heavy hammer, it rained down on Li Liangqiu's sword screen. An ecliptic palace grade silver star treasure was a top grade silver star treasure. The surging true power surged into the blade body, causing the blade body to buzz and tremble like a fin moving in the water. Ding Chen's hand trembled. He raised his head in shock. A spirit general was floating not far from him, looking at him with a smile that was not a smile. Absolutely. None. Law. Mercy. Mercy. The intense hatred and killing intent caused Tang Tian's eyes to be bloodshot. Looking at the panicking Xiao Jin, he did not have the slightest bit of sympathy. He rushed into Xiao Jin's embrace like lightning. His speed was as fast as a ghost. Xiao Jin subconsciously extended his arms to push out. His arms were suddenly in pain. It was as though he was struck by a wild beast. Damn it! Mu Lao San's face exposed a cruel smile. Tang Tian's strength had shocked him. His first move was a killing technique. He did not have any wishful thinking, taking their dreams and hopes and toying with their lives. Unforgivable. Tang Tian did not have the slightest bit of technique. His chest was filled with rage. His eyes were completely red. The moves in his hands were extremely simple. They were all fundamental martial techniques. But every move contained an astonishing amount of power. Adding the extremely fast frequency, Li Liangqiu used all his might, but he was barely able to hold on. But what followed was an even more oppressive bang. Like a thick steel plate being pierced through, the martial artist's body froze. A hole that was even bigger than Yaya's appeared on his back. It pierced through his chest. Under Mu Lao San's shocked and fearful gaze, Tang Tian's simple staggered forward punch. His body was like a spring. His fist struck the curved blade in Mu Lao San's hands without any fancy moves. You better think carefully. Like a wooden stake, he slowly fell backwards. My dad will definitely find the culprit. You can't escape. Your plan is ruined. Finished. The martial artist's expression froze on his face. His body froze in place. Weaving a dream blade, Li Liangqiu spat out a mouthful of blood. Death was so close to him. He had completely sunk into madness. His hair was disheveled. Ha ha. If I die, your plan will be ruined. You must have a motive for sneaking in. Ha. Even if it was an ecliptic grade silver treasure, it was still unable to withstand the power of this punch. Spiderweb-like cracks instantly covered the entire blade. Pong! The blade completely shattered, and the fingernail-sized fragments entered Mu Lao San's body like raindrops. That oppressive bang sound caused everyone's scalp to go numb. It was enough to imagine how terrifying the power of the impact was. The distance from here to the training camp was only 30 li. Upon releasing the signal for reinforcements, reinforcements would quickly arrive. Chi! Nothing was more important than that. Not good. Then I will bring the army to trample Sexton's constellation. The fear of death continued to devour his spirit. The screams of his companions around him caused him to be on the verge of collapse. His face contorted as he screamed, Ding Chun, you don't want to live anymore. If you don't ask for reinforcements, I will kill your entire family. He thought about himself. He thought about himself in Andrew Academy. He thought about the time when he had a faint hope. He had gambled his most precious 5 years. He did not regret it, because that was hope. That was his dream. Bang! Compensation? Tang Tian's face was filled with disdain and contempt. What qualifications do you have to talk to me about compensation? Everyone only felt their vision blur. Bai Acho had transformed into an extremely fast afterimage. He rushed into Xiao Jin's embrace. Xiao Jin's body was like a battering ram. Bang! He was instantly flung out. Why did he take it hostage? Why did he play with it? Li Liangqiu's solid foundation was displayed to its fullest. Tang Tian's gaze stared fiercely at Li Liangqiu. He sneered. It was extremely terrifying. Before he finished speaking, the surging dense blade auras formed into a light net. Bang! It exploded like snowflakes. Among the shattered auras and snowflakes, a blurry figure, like a ghost, appeared in front of Mu Lao San. Tang Tian was enraged. I want to see whose entire family you will kill. He leapt forward, the simplest thrusting forward fist, because that was the last dignity of life, because that was the air that one breathed, because that was the sunlight that could pierce through the haze, because that was the only reason to prove that one was still alive. No matter if you were mocked by the world, no matter if your fate was filled with ups and downs, no matter if you were struggling in hell. What gave you courage? What made you persevere? What made you not fall? Was that tiny dream in your heart. It was that wisp of hope that seemed to be floating in the clouds. Damn it. Fist after fist, with a terrifying frequency, smashed onto the sword screen. The sword screen shook violently. Li Liangqiu's body trembled like a sieve. Mouthfuls of blood flowed out from his mouth and nose. It was an unspeakable terror. Over 100 tiny blood pillars shot out from Mu Laosan's body at the same time. Tang Tian was expressionless, but in his eyes, flames of rage burned. Swallowing light steel fist, when his sword aura collided with Tang Tian's fist, he then knew how terrifying this ugly ghost strength was. Before Xiao Jin's body landed on the ground, everyone could already see clearly. His pupils had lost focus. His body was limp like a snake. It was bent at a strange angle. It could be clearly seen that the bones in his body had all turned into powder. The sword blade broke, and the sword screen disappeared. The blade aura split into two into four into eight. In the blink of an eye, countless blade auras formed a large net. Tang Tian was like a moth flying into a flame. He plunged into this large net. Tang Tian's momentum did not slow down at all. He forcefully rushed into Xiao Jin's arms. The moment the two of them touched, Tang Tian's body trembled slightly. Chapter 485. Destroying the corpses was necessary, but even if they destroyed the corpses, it would still raise suspicions. Such an ambush plan, once the opponent became suspicious, it would mean that the opponent would be even more cautious, and it would be disadvantageous to their entire operation. Ding Chun was long frightened to the point that his face was pale white, but it stayed here for a long time. He scrambled down and said anxiously, "Master, there's an ice cave over there. Uncle, don't you think that this is a good idea?" Tang Tian was eager to try. "They only have 3 saints. We have more people. If we capture that Song Yangyu, won't we find Sexton's eye? What do we do now?" Bing decided to throw the problem to Tang Tian and let the fool figure out himself. How to obtain Sexton's eye was an extremely difficult matter. Facing the 2 innocent faces, Bing was speechless. Everyone who was shocked by Tang Tian's terrifying performance obediently signed the martial spirit contract. All right, going around in circles with this fellow was truly asking for trouble. The biggest problem now were the corpses. What if they were in other people's hands? Snatch. Big Dipper is still fighting. Where is the army? Where are Ling Su, Crane, and Jing Hao? Where are we going to get the army? Bing asked, "What about the plan?" We spent so much effort, the plan, now it's all gone to waste. We spent so much effort, went around in circles, and you, on the other hand, directly killed their son. If we had known earlier, we would have just sent out our troops. Anyways, as a butcher, you do not have a good reputation. Yeah, old fool, we can still get Uncle Magic Flute over. Pull Yangfeng and the rest over, little army. We will directly kill them. The 3 Bronze Saints are definitely not our match. Tang Tian pinched his fingers. He could not wait to start a massacre. Ding Chun, who had just stood still, looked towards where Tang Tian was pointing. His face turned white and said with a trembling voice, "Cold. Cold wave." Bing. Tang Tian did not think too much. He could see that Uncle Bing obviously did not like his so-called plan. With regards to craftiness, Tang Tian knew that he could never catch up to Uncle Bing. Uncle Bing's brain was much smarter than his. Bing guided him patiently. Then think again, is there any other way? Tang Tian's fighting intense sword. His eyes lit up. "We will bring the small army to trample Sexton's constellation." Bing's spirit was roused. He thought in his heart, "You finally understand. The plan that I set up is the only one that can be realized." The poker face was filled with hope. "You've thought it through?" Everyone knew that they had to fight for their lives at this moment, so they mustered all their strength and charged forward crazily. Bing seemed to have awoken from a dream. Could it really be like what the fool said, using the army to flatten Sexton's constellation? Tang Tian immediately beamed with joy. "Aha, Uncle, you can see it too?" Tang Cho said that you are a famous general, and he really has a good eye. Tang Tian thought for a moment, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Got it. Run. Since he was only in charge of fighting, Tang Tian sat there with a clear conscience. Suddenly his expression changed. He stood up and looked towards the mountaintop. Why we need to flatten the world? Tang Tian asked curiously. They were all outer fighting grounds disciples. Regardless of talent or background, they could not compare to the inner fighting grounds disciples, and their future prospects were limited. But what happened today made them see a new hope. Yaya sat on Tang Tian's left shoulder. His sitting posture was exactly the same as Tang Tian, his chubby little face innocently tilted upwards. Masters, what do we do with the corpses? Ding Chen's face was pale white. There was still some lingering fear, and he asked weakly. He was very clear. This time he had really boarded a pirate ship, and there was no way to get off. Bing was truly sinister and crafty. He thought of an extremely ruthless method and requested everyone to sign a martial spirit contract. And with that, no one would dare to leak the news. I said the wrong thing. Bing saw that it was not good and could only raise both of his hands, and with an extremely certain tone, he said resolutely and decisively, "Chia is yours." Ding Chun looked at Tang Tian and swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue and pointed to the front. Over there, Bing looked at the ground full of corpses, and his mind worked very quickly. Although there was a huge change in the plan, but by signing the martial spirit contract, he would be able to keep this group of people, and there would not be any loopholes. Tang Tian and Bing were dumbstruck. They finally understood why Ding Chun and the rest were so afraid of the cold wave. The moment they landed, Tang Tian bent down and grabbed the rope on the ground. Over there. That's right. Tang Tian scratched his head. After a while, his eyes lit up again. I got it. We just have to make our move before the others, and that will be enough. Seems like it. Tang Tian's face was bitter. Then what about the others? Many of them are watching covetously from the shadows. Bing said weakly, You said I can't find Xie? Tang Tian was enraged and jumped up. Uncle, do you want to fight? Then I will bring the army to trample Sexton's constellation. It can't be so coincidental, right? Bing looked at Tang Tian and was speechless for a long time. This fool was truly a one-track mind. What is that? Tang Tian pointed to a blue line in the distance and asked curiously. Bing imitated Tang Tian's tone. TSK, TSK. So tyrannical, people who don't know would think that we are the 12 ecliptic palaces. Listen, this is sweeping across the world. Those who follow me will prosper. Those who oppose me will perish. The blue cold wave was like a raging tide, advancing along the snow plains, destroying everything on the ground. Inside the blue raging tide, the dense cold wave crystallized into blue icicles and spun at an astonishing speed inside the raging tide. Bing noticed that Tang Tian was acting strangely. What's wrong? Bing felt that his initial plan was rotten to the core, to bring such a fool to hide. If he had known earlier, Sun Yu's disciple would have been more reliable. Seems like he had overestimated the fool, and that was the biggest failure of the entire plan. There seems to be some sound. Tang Tian muttered and soared into the sky, jumping up the mountain. Bing, I still have to do it myself. Bing deeply blamed himself as a commander to actually make such a mistake. It was not right. What do you want us, the people who fight, to do? That's right, just such a small matter, and you want to kill so much? If you're not happy, you can just bring people to kill. If you want to trample, we will trample. If you want to crush, we will crush. He is the son of a saint. You're the master of a constellation. Ursa Major King. Hey, please, can you be more particular about your status? He is just an ant. You have the time and opportunity to crush him. All those money cards in your pockets are just for show. Just casually put down the bounty and find people to kill him. Who would know that you did it? What if there were other people watching? Bring many people to snatch before anyone else. Bing shook his head, his gaze becoming far-sighted and far-sighted. Tang Tian's first reaction, his beastly instincts at this time, displayed its greatest effect. He turned and jumped down. Ding Chen's face changed. Could it be reinforcements? He hesitated for a moment, but still clenched his teeth and jumped up the mountain. Without saying a word, Bing also jumped up. Tang Tian and Bing were stunned. Cold wave? This was the cold wave that caused people's faces to change? Bing thought further than Tang Tian. Forcefully snatching was the worst method and the last choice. The current Ursa major constellation needed time to solve the internal problem of Big Dipper. They needed time to digest and absorb, and after completing everything, Ursa major constellation strength would rise to another level. And not at such a time. To display a strong offensive nature would cause the surrounding constellations to feel extremely uneasy, and Ursa major constellation would quickly be isolated by everyone. How can I eliminate all these suspicions? You lead the way. In mid-air, before Tang Tian had even landed, he gave the order without hesitation. The trees and rocks that were engulfed by the blue wave froze into ice, and then dismembered, shattered, turning into blue powder, rolling in the wave, causing the blue wave to become even more azure. The 7 of them had red eyes, holding onto the ropes tightly. Everyone run that way. Quick! Tang Tian roared, his eyes wide open, all the muscles on his body swelled. He exhaled, the ropes became taut. He dragged the 7 of them, sprinting frantically. Bing's saliva flew everywhere. He was flustered and exasperated. Bing was stunned, thinking about the fool's dreams and ambitions. He could only change his words. All right, how do we find Xie? What if he is powerful? Bring a lot of people to snatch. The cold wave behind them cast a gigantic shadow, slowly enveloping them. He had not figured out the origins of the 2 masters, but it was obvious the 2 masters were definitely powerful. The only thing he rejoiced about was Master Ah Chao's heart was kinder than Li Liangxiu. Along the way, he saw Master Ah Chao's actions. With Master Ah Chao's identity and strength, he did not need to buy people's hearts, and the reason why he did that was definitely because he was kind-hearted. I'm so stupid. Bing shook his head. Everyone stared dumbstruck at the strange and terrifying blue wave, destroying everything along the way. Tang Tian looked up innocently. I didn't think so much. The blue line came extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it turned from a thin blue line to a blue wave. The training camp and town 30 kilometers away was in a mess. Little Fool held the umbrella, dutifully turning the umbrella handle. Every time the umbrella handle rotated, a martial spirit contract would be formed. In the past, when Tang Tian signed the martial spirit contract, it was still somewhat difficult, but now that it was passed to Little Fool, he did not need to use any effort. The gold-ranked martial artist was killed by Tang Tian like he was chopping vegetables. Then Tang Tian's strength was definitely a saint. To be subdued by a saint, not only was it not humiliating, to many people, it was undoubtedly an opportunity. Tang Tian drooped his head, listening to Uncle Bing's lecture. Now that he had calmed down, he realized that he was indeed a bit rash. Tang Tian tilted his head and thought for a long time, then said, Bring the army to trample Sexton's constellation. The cold wave's roar was getting closer and closer. That terrifying sound that caused people's scalps to go numb was like the sound of death. Crude and simple, without any technical content, completely without any strategy to speak of. Other problems were not considered at all. Discussing with the fool about intelligence, he was truly asking to be humiliated. Bing thought about the fool in front of him and softened his tone. You can't be like that. A man should know when to yield or when to stand tall. You are now a leader. You must have this bearing. If you don't even have this bit of forbearance, how are you going to conquer the world in the future? A total of 79 people, the martial spirit contract had been signed. Everyone had different expressions. Some were fearful, some were anxious, some were looking forward to it. Chapter 486. Everyone who had been saved from death's door were all ecstatic and all jumped down into the ice cave. I heard that the fighting grounds recently had energy undulations. Do you know about it? Bing asked softly. Who knew? No matter how much strength Tang Tian used, the rocks seemed to be stuck to Yaya's butt and could not be pried off. Tang Tian felt that it was strange and did not restrain himself from using more strength. Ha! The dagger in his hand broke. The dissipating energy seemed to be attracted and quickly floated towards the star's umbrella. Yaya's, but was meaty, and he did not know where to start. So Tang Tian found a dagger and wanted to pry the rock off. The dagger was a star treasure, but he did not have any other tools and could only use it on the spot. Tang Tian was startled. Bing, who was puffing smoke, was also startled. Everyone gradually regained their senses. The whistling above their heads was still continuing, but because of the thick layer of ice and snow, it was not as scary. So scary. What heroic spirit of trampling Sexton's constellation was thrown away without a trace. If their small bodies were thrown in, they would just be blue powder. He had personally witnessed the scene of Yaya being struck, and could not help but say, "Master, this rock is definitely not an ordinary object. To be able to survive the cold wave without being smashed, this subordinate has never heard of it before. Star treasures below gold rank in the cold wave will also be completely smashed. This rock is actually able to withstand the pressure of the cold wave. It is not simple." Little Fool held onto the umbrella handle, quietly floating in the air. "That is true." Ding Chun was enlightened. He said solemnly, "That is in the inner fighting grounds. After a period of time, there will be a strange undulation in the inner fighting grounds. Everyone is saying, 'Is there any treasure in the hands of the Groundmaster?' But no one has seen it before. The inner fighting grounds is heavily guarded. Us disciples of the outer fighting grounds are not allowed to enter." Tang Tian called Ding Chun over. "Have you seen this rock before?" The light arrow entered the umbrella handle. The star's umbrella's light aura increased explosively. The stars on the umbrella suddenly lit up like a vast starry sky. Even the nebula could be seen clearly. The big and small stars, numbering in the billions, attracted everyone's attention. Energy overflowed. This thought gave Tang Tian a burst of strength that came out of nowhere. Dragging the 7 people, he actually rushed to the front of the group. Bing came over and clicked his tongue in wonder. "Unusual, yeah. Your luck is really good. This stone seems to be unusual." Dense energy immediately overflowed in all directions. The dazzling light spread out along the surface of the spinning star umbrella. Little Fool suddenly raised his head. His black obsidian-like eyes lit up with an indescribable radiance. That face that resembled Tang Tian's, yet delicate and adorable face, revealed a rare, serious expression. He spread out his arms and closed his legs. His body formed a cross, and his blue Tang suit fluttered even though there was no wind, emitting a powerful aura. Yaya's cry turned into a smile. It jumped up from the ground and jumped up along the ice wall. It was like a little squirrel. In the blink of an eye, it had jumped to the same height as Little Fool. The light aura from the star umbrella shone down. It was like the night sky was filled with stars, and it was actually rather bright. Little Fool's delicate face once again regained its dazed expression. His figure suddenly disappeared, and at the same time, he appeared in front of Tang Tian. He looked at Tang Tian. He did not have any expression, but Tang Tian dared to confirm that this fellow was staring at him. Bing was stunned for a moment. A bad premonition arose in his heart. He anxiously asked, "Wait a minute, what did you say just now? What inner fighting grounds?" Compared to Tang Tian, the other people's faces were filled with shock. They were completely scared silly. When had they ever seen such a crazy, terrifying martial technique? Bang! Seeing Yaya's expression, Tang Tian also felt that the little fellow was rather pitiful. He casually pulled the little flag on Yaya's but to block the small stone. Tang Tian was in so much pain that his face contorted. "This asshole, just wait and see how I take care of you." Bang, bang, bang. Haha. Yaya, this is called strength in softness, and also called a beautiful, but like a flower. But dimples, this is called but dimples. Other people have dimples, but Yaya has but dimples. Ha ha. Another unscrupulous uncle laughed uncontrollably. Ding Chun immediately said, "Master, please speak." Ding Chun explained, "The disciples of the fighting grounds are separated into 3 types. Direct disciples, inner fighting grounds disciples, and outer fighting ground disciples. The outer fighting grounds disciples will go to the training camps outside to undergo their initial training and training. Our ancient cold training camp is one of the most important outer fighting grounds. Oh, this way it's not too obvious. All right. As a man, how can you be disheartened because of a but dimple? Godlike bud spirit general, just a small stone. How can it defeat you? Tang Tian saw that things were not looking good. Without caring about anything else, he grabbed another star rock and crushed it, and anxiously shouted, "Little fool!" Yaya's anxious scream broke the silence. Tang Tian jumped in fright and immediately grabbed onto Yaya, who was grabbing onto his hair. When he looked carefully, he immediately held onto his stomach and laughed out loud. Seeing this, Tang Tian's hair all stood up. Bang! Little fool, who was rapidly spiraling upwards, opened up his arms, bringing along 2 rays of light. His speed became faster and faster, and when he was flying close to the umbrella handle, he was like a straight arrow. This son of a bitch is slightly powerful. Bang! Why did I not realize this in the past? Little fool is actually not just a fool. He turned and shouted at Ding Chun. Where's the ice cave? A small stone was actually deeply embedded into Yaya's butt. Yaya's butt was originally chubby, like jelly. Now that there was a stone embedded in it, it was as if a thumbtack was pressed inside. Even the flesh around the stone that was squeezed into a circle could be seen clearly. It was hilarious no matter how one looked at it. Chie would definitely not like a pile of blue powder. Although this dagger was only a bronze artifact, it was still an artifact. It was normal for Tang Tian to be able to break it, but to be able to break a small stone, that was not normal. Yaya was dizzy and only knew how to grab onto Tang Tian's hair tightly. Little fool, who was floating above Tang Tian's head, heard this and moved his right hand that was holding the umbrella to his chest. His small left hand also held onto the umbrella handle. Both palms closed and gently rubbed. Yes, the inner fighting grounds, it is very far from here. Ding Chun explained. The stars on the umbrella slowly revolved. That thin, light umbrella suddenly gave off a thick and heavy feeling. The quality of the star treasures were all outstanding, adding on the years of being nourished by the star power. The star treasures were extremely hard to destroy. But seeing the cold wave converging into a raging wave, like a monster that ate everything, even the star treasures were smashed into blue powder, Tang Tian's heart immediately trembled. The shattering sound that caused one's scalp to go numb came crashing down. The ice cave above his head continued to shatter, the thick ice layer releasing terrifying shattering sounds. Tang Tian, who was falling, saw the ice layer that was tens of zhong above his head, and countless of cracks were spreading at an astonishing speed. The exquisite face, looking down, was somewhat adorable. In his eyes, the star umbrella surface quickly became bigger. Who? Ha, duh. The cigarette in Bing's hand dropped to the ground. He was dumbfounded. Bang! The ice and snow that fell from the sky brought along a terrifying sound, fiercely collided with the umbrella surface. The bright stars on the umbrella surface suddenly revolved. Ka! The umbrella surface sunk down. In a moment of desperation, Tang Tian's hands were filled with star rocks. He did not care to see what grade of star rocks they were. His palms suddenly exerted strength. Pa! All the star rocks were crushed by him. The enlarged star umbrella surface was like a powerful blade, deeply piercing into the 2 sides of the ice walls. An ice cave with a diameter of roughly 10 m appeared in front of everyone. Calling it an ice cave was actually not suitable. It was actually a crack in the ice plains. One could see the obvious cracks extending along the 2 ends of the ice cave. Little fool glanced at it elegantly, then regained his blank expression. Ah, Yaya, you're too pitiful. The top of everyone's head darkened. The cold wave swept past their heads like a tide. Bing called Ding Chun over. Let me ask you something. Yaya pouted, lying on the ground like a caterpillar, sticking out his eyes filled with tears. He looked pitifully at Tang Tian. Ding Chun looked at it carefully. It was a black rock. The surface had blue patterns that looked like waves touching it. It was extremely hard. He shook his head. Reply to master. I have never seen it before. It's right in front. Ding Chun did not dare to look back. He shouted and ran with his head down. Yaya turned his butt, twisting and turning. showing off his new accessory to Little Fool. If such a thick layer of ice collapsed, all of them would definitely be buried alive. The ice and snow pouring down from above probably weighed tens of thousands of tons, but the thin, light umbrella stood there majestically. Ding Chun shouted in joy. In front, it's right in front. That means the undulation is not here? Bing's poker face was stupefied. The blue cold wave was getting closer and closer. Bang! A small rock that was brought up by the cold wave shot Yaya's, but like an arrow. Yaya, who was not prepared, flew out. Tang Tian's eyes and hands were fast. His hands were like lightning. He grabbed onto Yaya. Without bothering check, he placed it on top of his head again. Tang Tian waved his hand. Yaya, you've picked up a treasure. Oh no, you've been chosen by the treasure. As expected of our families, Yaya. This luck, no one can compare to you. Tang Tian also laughed to the point of tears, but he still struggled to stand up, pressed Yaya down, and warned Yaya, if you dare to fart at this time, I'll definitely kill you. Ee! Tang Tian roared. Little fool, open the umbrella. In the air, he did not seem to have any leverage. His knees bent slightly. Following that like a rocket shooting into the sky, he opened up both his arms, his body continuously spinning. The dissipated energy frantically flew towards his palms. Hearing Tang Tian's heartless laughter, Yaya immediately became anxious. He placed his butt in front of Tang Tian and kept swaying, wanting Tang Tian to help him remove the small rock. The cold waves, terrifying whistling sounds, and the continuous swallowing and shattering sounds. Tang Tian saw with his own eyes the few corpses, even the broken pieces of the star treasures, were all shattered, turning into fine blue powder. Everyone's bodies then landed on the ground, but no one could care about the pain. They were all stunned by Little Fool's valiant performance, including Tang Tian.